Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dilan Tilanga from Building Services Engineering Section Committee of IESL. On behalf of our committee, let me warmly welcome you in this fine evening for our 14th and final public lecture in session 2018-2019. Despite of the rainy situation, we really appreciate your presence and we see some faces of our past presidents as well. Most unfortunate parents' era has begun, where children start dying before their parents. Even though this is a non-engineering subject, we thought of discussing this timely and socially sensitive topic which we cannot leave behind as we being a part of the society. In fact, we are in an era where non-communicable diseases are becoming common than ever before, leaving our current and future generations into a pathetic situation. As a matter of fact, changes in food patterns has made a severe damage, and with this lecture we are going to discuss, and this will be an eye-opener to protect ourselves without the total damage has been done. To proceed with, we are enlightened by the presence of this prominent leader in the health sector of Sri Lanka, who is none other than Dr. Anuruddha Padeniya. Dr. Padeniya is a consultant pediatric neurologist at Lady Ridgeway Hospital for Children, Colombo, and the academic head of the Department of Pediatrics, Faculty of Medicine and Allied Sciences, University of Rajasthan. In addition to his clinical obligations, he has taken initiative of many public health problems at national level, including chronic kidney disease of unknown etiology, which is known as CKDU, battle against milk powder issue, banning agrochemicals, and promoting safe food. He is also a member of the Presidential Task Force for Chronic Kidney Disease of Unknown Etiology. Dr. Padeniya was honored with the prestigious Eisenhower Fellowship in 2012 in recognition of his outstanding leadership shown in the field of health sector and other sectors. Apart from that, he is the president of Government Medical Officers Association for the last 8 years. With that, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcoming on the stage Dr. Anuruddha Padeniya to proceed with the lecture.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, and thank you very much for giving this opportunity to talk to you all on this very important topic. I am a medical person looking after children, so I have more concern over children, but I hope you will not be lighter than me with regard to this fact. Especially in the Asian region, our main hope is through children. So as a parent, if we were to be how can we be the most unfortunate parents is what we need to visit. Now we may compromise all our activities either with your, when you are going to buy something, when you have certain other activities, your priorities to do, but if a kid's priority comes on top of that, you will take care of that ahead of your priorities. So basically, what we think, especially in this Asian region, that our kids or our children are the investment for the future. So to be meaningful of this investment, what we need to gather here is that our kids should be doing better than us. Ideally, they should be more healthier, more longer living than us. That is what we expect. But unfortunately, this statement was made not by me. This most unfortunate parents here have become. was a statement made by none other than Professor Paul Simmet. You can see his titles. He is the founder president of the International Federation of Diabetes and most renowned person in the world with regard to these NCDs. He done a lot of work in this field and is well heard all over the world, especially Western region. This is the person who had done a very simple projections by extrapolating the NCD burden which is taking over. Earlier, you know, what are these NCDs? I hope you all know very well. That is this so-called diabetes, hypertension, all these cardiac diseases, cardiac ailments, then cancers and this non-communicable diseases. So there are two entities. Communicable diseases where there will be an organism to take care of you, to transmit from one person to another. Non-communicable means it is not communicable like that. It will be coming from your body. I learned the Ayurveda word also, the Vyadhi and Roga. So, Vyadhi, where you have an organism to propagate. Here what we have seen is, now when we were small, if you go back to say 2 or 3 decades back, these cancers, diabetes were diseases of fairly more than 60 years old generation. But it slowly has become down the line to middle age. Now I am a pediatric man, I am taking a pediatric history on every patient. So when I am taking, I am asking how is the health status of the mother and how is the health status of the father. Since they are pediatric patients, I get their parents in the age of 30s and 40s, early 40s or 30s. I can see one after another patient will have either diabetes or they call it cholesterol or some kind of this kind of ailment on the middle age categories. So what Professor Paul Simmet has seen is very soon this will come down to the younger and younger generation. And what he said is correct. This was a statement made 5-6 years ago. Now before I come into this lecture, I got the statistic from our diabetic clinic, Lady Ridgeway Hospital. When we were medical students, we didn't have a diabetic clinic or endocrinologist in the pediatric practice. Today we are running a diabetic clinic in the Lady Ridgeway Hospital. By this is late September, they have registered more than 100 kids with diabetes less than 12 years. I myself had diagnosed diabetics in less than 12 years over last 3 months, 4 patients. So possibly that number is correct, and by the end of this year, the diabetics in children at Lady Ridgeway Special Clinic alone might exceed your 120. So 120 means every third day we are diagnosing a diabetic patient. When we were in the medical school, we didn't study diabetics in children. Those textbooks also didn't carry those topics. So what he said is correct. And what he says is when you extrapolate the diabetic, then the life expectancy based on that, then the cancer life expectancy, all those things. Simply what he had observed is the current so-called young generation or old generation, when you put together and when you extrapolate the life expectancy of the kids, it will be worse than the parent group. So because of that he made this statement, the first generation where the children may die before their parents. So because of that, he had quoted it as most unfortunate parents will have become. So this is a very dangerous statement. So therefore I started this lecture series going to schools to give them an insight that this danger is coming up very soon, and I was extrapolating this actually when this Buddhist channel, Bauddha channel, when Venerable Kusaladhamma Swami Wahanse passed away, I decided to do at least 1 lecture per week, thinking he died at 53 years. So I thought I was a little bit younger than that, so we have to deliver it as soon as possible. So this lecture was actually prepared for schools. So I will touch up this lecture for halfway through. Since you all are supposed to be wearing a tie and calling that scientific people, would like to get the scientific references more than the story. So I will switch on to halfway through to that lecture which I did a couple of weeks ago at Galadari for Sri Lanka Medical Association, for all participants of Sri Lanka Medical Association. So I will go to that lecture and then I'll come back to this lecture again. So now you can understand the gravity of this comment, and now what we can see is it relevant to us? Maybe your next question, because by nature, why should we bother? If we had extrapolated those figures on Western children, why should we bother? So you might wonder whether this has application to Sri Lankan children as well. So I think this is nothing new. These two parents, when you see, they are doing their best to their child, so that will be at least the perception. They may not be with the intention of doing harm to this child, but what they are doing is not what is expected. So therefore what they drink, what they eat, what matters at the end of the day for these non-communicable diseases. I will leave this presentation behind on the laptop. Anybody who wants to take the slides can take over there. There is nothing to hide. And you can see the diabetic tendency, how it is going up in the current, this is Sri Lankan figures. And if you just to quote one figure, Katulandettel with Oxford study he did in 2008, and his projection of the adolescent diabetes, adolescent is the age where 10 to 20 range, adolescent diabetes, he has, his findings are coming to 20%, the diabetics and the diabetogenic, the diabetic tendency is 20%. That was in 2008. By 2012, the figure has gone up by 26%, up to 26%. So Hadlanda concluded saying every 1 in 5 people in Sri Lanka is having diabetes. After 4 years, it became 1 in 4 has become diabetics. So this is 2019. So you can extrapolate, and these are the latest figures by Colombo metropolitan figures by the Diabetic Association, which had gone beyond 50%. And the trend is uprising. It is not a linear trend. You can see the trend is going up as well. So this is, these people are not nowadays not an uncommon thing to see, but that was not the usual thing in the past. So possibly the American federal laws, they have changed to increase the size of the cemeteries, because they can't dump, because they recently did an extension to their federal laws on cemetery, sites for cremations. So that will happen to us as well. You can see the cancer trend. Cancer absolute figures are more than this actually. This is the total number has gone up by more than twice. But if you see the thyroid cancers has gone up by 8-fold rise. Earlier the cancer hospital used to entertain 1 patient per week. Now they have gone beyond 8 patients per week, and now they started new 2 units at Morelli and Kurunagala. Still they can't cope up. So it might have gone up to about 14 per week like thyroid cancers. You can see these are the latest cancer trends. You can see how fast it is going up, and this is 1985 and this is 2014, how many years, and numbers are fast growing. There are ethnic changes according to the Katlanda's figures. You can see the best, these are 2008, just after the war concluded. So the blessing of the Tamil people had their, now there is a new terminology called metabolic syndrome. Since it is new to you, what is metabolic syndrome is, this is actually based on the metabolic syndrome findings. Metabolic syndrome is, now you know diabetes. What do you mean by diabetes? We call it the sugar disease, where your sugar is fluctuating than what you expect to be normal. So you have to understand, in a liquid, one factor will not fluctuate alone. It will have impact with the relative impact on the other. So when the sugars get fluctuated, the lipids also should get fluctuated, water should get fluctuated, so there will be, and the electrolytes, metabolites, everything will get fluctuation. So sugar disease or diabetes is only one entity. So now you call it the metabolic syndrome. At least we got an insight that it's not only sugar get fluctuated, so people call it cholesterol disease or the diabetes or various terminologies are being used, but the current terminology, when you put everything together, it's the metabolic syndrome what we are dealing with. So when you see the metabolic syndrome, and there is no proper definition for metabolic syndrome. I was chairing recently a session with the 3 professors speaking on the metabolic syndrome. I was waiting to see the definition. 3 professors gave 3 definitions of the metabolic syndrome. But the simple understanding is that all metabolites are not fluctuating as we wish, they are fluctuating against our wish. So what happened is, now when you put the metabolic syndrome into practice, you can see Sini, Medha, Bada, Rudira, everything. The Tamil population has a metabolic syndrome tendency about 20%, and Sinhala comes about 23%, and the Muslims it's going up to about 46%. So by telling why I want to put this slide is, the very important, the food patterns and your culture has an impact on the outcomes of this. Now possibly after war, now Tamil figures may be not this, because now if you go to Jaffna, you will not be able to eat this vade and all. We will be eating what we are eating now, with these rolls, patties, cutlets, all these things. So their figures are also, they may die more numbers than the war very soon because of this metabolic syndrome. Possibly they could have thanked to the war. Now this entity is not even, when we were medical students 20 years ago, we never heard about the entity called fatty liver. Now fatty liver is a common household name. What I mean by that is, when a patient comes to me, a child comes to me with a neurological disease, when they have a tummy, I give a small chip to them to go to the ultrasound room and get a liver ultrasound done. So when you put the ultrasound probe on your liver here on the right side, you see bubbles. You see various bubbles. So then they will say these are fat bubbles. So I would say it is fatty liver level 1, level 2. They might quantify the number of bubbles and give 1, 2, 3 gradings. If the child is having level 2 fatty liver, their life expectancy will come down to 35 to 40 years. So obviously what the this person, Professor Paul Simak has told, what is, it becomes true. So, and if it is level 3, of course, we have to go for liver transplant and rest of the treatment. And the problem is, if you have diabetes on every other person, from whom are you going to transplant all these organs? Because all these organs are also partly damaged. Because the metabolic syndrome is, the blood flow is out of shape. Their chemical composition is deranged, and blood flow will go to all the organs. So therefore, if you have metabolic syndrome, when it comes to the heart, you get all heart ailments. When it comes to brain, it will have brain all these ailments. If it comes to the liver, it comes with the fatty liver and the rest of the things. So the reflection or the extrapolation of the liver entity of the metabolic syndrome comes as fatty liver. Now, just for you to give you some kind of anatomy and physiology into it. Now, when we eat something, what happens? It will go to the stomach, then it will go to the small intestine. What will happen is, then those things will get absorbed through blood. So, when it gets absorbed, the first pass metabolism will take place in the liver. It will go through the liver before it goes to the body. So, therefore, the front line organ to confront all these toxins, toxics, all these hormones, whatever is in the food, the first line has to be dealt by the liver. So liver will try their level best to detoxify, to entertain the best before it reaches the blood flow inside the body, before it goes to the other organs. Now what happens is, if the liver is now in trouble, what will happen is, then the entire body will suffer because of this. So therefore, if you see the fatty liver condition, and when the fatty liver is there for a while, that will have steatohepatitis. You may know hepatitis by organism, the hepatitis virus and all these things. Similarly, when unwanted or material is get accumulated in the liver, you get hepatitis. The inflammation part will start working on it. So then what will happen is the liver will try their level best to give function as normal as possible. But obviously you can see if you get fatty liver, what are the diseases that you will be able to entertain. It means almost all the diseases will be there if you have fatty liver. So therefore, that is why I told if you have fatty liver level 2, 3 level, that your life expectancy is very comfortably will come down. So it's a matter of time. So this is where the situation. And now what I told is whether this has a relevance to us. Now obviously you will understand with the figures I have shown, this matter is, this statement made by Paul Simon has a direct relevance to us. Am I clear on that? Right. Now we'll move further. Now, who will first die? Because then at least we can be happy. If the European kids are going to die before us, they will find a solution. Then we can outsource our finding a solution to them, and then we can learn from them. So that is our usual thinking. And who will die before? Who will die? Whether our kids or them? What is your idea about it? Before I go to the next slide, whom do you think? Possibly they will die. Who will die? Who will die? Both will die together. Okay. Now this is the current situation of our kids. And if you are obese, your cardiovascular risk and other things will go by 5.4-fold. So if you are not obese, if you are obese, you can see the risk, how fast they increase. So therefore, to keep your weight within a limit is crucial. So who will die? You can analyze this chart and say, this I have to acknowledge from Professor Kalupahana, Padeniya. At that conference I got this slide, but it's a published material. So if I were to just to go through with this slide, we will extrapolate, you are mathematical people, we will come to the BMI of 26, right, just for. And if you are a white fellow, probably none of you all, will have a risk of, diabetes risk of 4%. Am I clear? But if you are a black fellow, it's 12%. And if you are a Chinese, further goes up, and if you are a South Asian, black or white, I don't know, will go up to 20%. So who will die? Because by our body composition, we are not bound to be obese. We are not bound to be overweight. So possibly, who will take the first turn? It will be us. This is the danger. So therefore, we have to find a solution to this. That is why our diabetes clinic was started 2-3 years ago. Initially we had none. This year, going beyond 100 by now itself. So this is what may be the reason. Unfortunately, our CHDR charts, you are engineers, so why not we collaborate together? Unfortunately, our kids are getting their weight checked on a WHO chart prepared on the WHO data, not on Sri Lankan figures. So because of that, then the midwife will go and say you are underweight. Then the fellows will feed. No way of going the height on this direction, the height will go on this direction. So they will fatten, then they will get landed on our clinics to get their weight managed and obesity management. So this is what is happening. This is a recent presentation done by Professor Pujita Vikramasinghe. He did oration recently that it is high time to extrapolate on our figures on our weight chart for kids. Am I clear? Right. Now coming down to this, how to save children. So hereafter it may not be that scientific. So because of that, can I escape from this slide and go to very scientifically backed presentation? I will come back to this because Suran wanted it in that way also. Now the topic I was given is by the Sri Lanka Medical Association was how safe the food we consume. Now, what is the relation to the health food in this direction? I suddenly switch on to here. So, do I mean to say that all these problems are because of food? Or do you disagree with that? No, we comfortably, people are not doing enough exercises. So that is why, and lot of stresses. And we mean the impact from the food, but mainly it's food. I will come to that later. Mainly it's food. So that is why the SLM want to talk on this topic. Another point before I go to this topic is, now what do you think about our health sector? I am the president of the Doctors Association, so I should at least defend our health sector. Is it good or bad? Because our Supati has taken a lot of awards recently also because our health sector is very good. By what means? By the indices given. So what are the indices given to scale it up on high ranking level that our health is good? If your maternal mortality is good, you are higher. If your perinatal mortality is good, you are higher up. The infant mortality is good, you are higher up. Now just to pose your question, if the mortality figures, if the number of people are dying are less, do you mean that the living are in a well quality life status? Now this is where the mistake has taken place. Our health status is being measured by mortality figures, and we claim that we are doing a very well-to-do people, but at the same time our diabetes, hypertension, cancers are going in up direction. Only that we are better than the rest, so we can be happy. But if you analyze the last slide, it may not be the same in future. So this is where we stand ourselves, and you all as engineers, I think health in all policies. So as engineering, I have done a lecture to engineers that you all can't keep your shoulders away on this topic. We all have to get together and address this topic. Simply our health status is good because we are not measuring these figures for rating. So that is why. But we are in a bit of a difficult situation that possibly will appreciate. Now, let us come to this topic. How safe the food we consume? First of all, I should ask a question. Why do we eat? Have you ever posed that question? Do you keep eating? Right? Have you ever thought why should we eat? What will be the simple answer? For nutrition. It is the only hope. So then you put give some tablets and other things and entertain your nutrition. So now you are happy. You need not to eat them. You put all these tubes and put your nutrition in. Ensure that. Why do we eat? Eating? Huh? Entertainment. Yes. Correct. Food is fairly entertaining. If you want to eat with the family and all these parties, you will not go and hide and eat. Other you can eat. You go to places where it's nicely presented, you want to eat like this, that, and also, yes, so it will go up to the entertainment industry. Yes, I agree. Yes. You want the energy. That's the only hope. So you have to take all the energy stuff and then you are happy. At least put that you want to grow also. You are not in the growing it, but at least to grow. So have you ever given a thought, why should we eat? Conceptually. Lot of meaning. Please, when you go home and think, why do we eat? As he said, it goes up to the level of entertainment. If you see the definition of WHO definition, they say health, at least if you say that to maintain our health, not for fun, we eat just to maintain our health. Then of course all of us should eat in the same manner because our main aim is, so you need not to go to 5-star place to eat, but eat from anywhere is the same. So if you go to analyze, but if you have an intention of safeguarding your health for your eating, then What is the definition of health? WHO says it's the not mere absence of diseases, but it's the physical, mental and social well-being is what you aim through health. They have this proposal of spiritual health had been there for long, but yet to be resolved at a WHO program. But in your grade 7, if you have a grade 7 school kid, their health, Sri Lankan definition by NIA, if you say, physical, mental, social and spiritual. Spiritual has been proposed but not yet got declared or resolved yet. But see how we have defined Ayu Balasapa Varna Prajna. So to become engineer, do you want the IQ or EQ? Do you want Buddhi or Prajna? What had been our education system those days? It was basically the current education is, what is our current education? What is the aim of our education? Like aim of our food is to produce educated people. උගත්තු බිහි කරන්න. එතකොට මම ඔක කිව්වා. ඉස්සර when you have the previous all this පිරිවෙන් අධ්‍යාපනයේ, if you read the latest book written by Varuna Chandrageetha and them, they never looked at උගත්තු, they looked at ප්‍රඥාවන්තයෝ. So what is the difference in that? So ප්‍රඥාව පහල කරන්න. දැන් අපි උගත්තු. When I told this thing at the Bauddha channel, I was told by a professor of Padeniya, Padeniya statement is wrong, we don't produce ugattu, we produce vivaga pass karapu sattu. Because they don't have values in their hands. When they come out from the whatever the education, they don't know how to ensure, at least to be selfish, to look after yourself. You work hard, I agree, according to certain protocols, but whether you are doing good for yourself, your family and to the country and the rest. So then I went through the education principles written by Maniya Panyasi Hamduru, Amduru කියනවා ශාස්ත්‍රය දෙන්න කලින් පවින් වැළකීමයි කුසල රැස් කිරීමයි උගන්වලා තමයි ශාස්ත්‍රය දෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒතර මේ දෙක නැතුව ඒ දෙකේ මොන්ටිසෝරි යවනවා. මොන්ටිසෝරි යවන නිසා ළමයාට දෙමව්පියන්ගේ හෝ ගුරුවරුන්ගේ ඇසුර නෙමෙයි හම්බෙන්නේ. ඒක නිසා කෙලින්ම ශාස්ත්‍රය දෙන්නේ. So they are උගත්තු අයවර කියපු වචනේ. So ultimately they will not have the prajna to analyze these things. So therefore, but when you see the definition of our past definition, Ayu Bala Sapa Varna Prajna, I ask you to go through all these 5 elements. It's far. So if you are going to eat something, you have to see whether these 5 benefits will come to you. At least to not to do any harm. Am I clear to that point? Right? So, this is why. So, engineers should then concentrate on their food more than the rest of the public. Am I making an unfair statement by you? You are supposed to be highest IQ. So, doctors are also to be, supposed to be, at least we are claiming that we are having the highest IQ. We let down others sometimes. So, then at least to maintain, you should be more concentrating on food. And if you want to make your kid a doctor or engineer or a prajnavanta and some source, then you should make more attention to her food. Clear? Right, we'll see whether you agree or not. You can disagree. Right. But we'll see the definition of food. And the definition of food was given by him. Now, energy and why should we eat? To furnish. So he is correct because he is an internet literate person. He is a literate guy, not having all the high IQ with less of EQ. So he didn't use his brain, he used to memorize. So what will happen? Now this also I want to share with you all. I am a doctor. So you might have seen when we park our vehicles on these hospitals, these drug reps approach us. What do they say? So this drug is available, then they will start telling a story. This drug is good for that and all these things. If you stop him and ask a couple of questions, what will happen? So I don't know answer to that. I will ask from my principals and say, is it correct? No, it's correct because he is a representative. The medical, he has his principles to reflect himself. He is a rep. So what I will do? You might take your kid to me for epilepsy. Then you will ask, why do you give this drug? These British guidelines. So I am also referring to my principles. So am I a rep? Yes, I am a professional rep. What is my ownership on the management? I am also delivering something, either consensus stuff by another set of people. I don't like to call myself a rep, I would say I am an ambassador of that. Better term. So you all are also ambassadors or reps. What do you say? So we have to visit ourselves. So if you want to get an ownership on the management of patient care, then you have to know the pathophysiology of what is happening there. So similarly, when you are practicing all these things also, you have to analyze and see what is happening there. That is what you call by this prajna. So here, if you go by the Western definitions and if you try to stick by that, being ambassador to that, so then we will be misled, because in food you are supposed to fulfill only carbohydrate, protein, fat. Those are the main elements. Then the vitamins and minerals. If those 5 things what we learned at grade 7 is there, we have to be happy. But vitamins we have A, B, C, D, E. But suppose if you have more brain and if you find out I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P vitamins, then all this generation has unfairly dealt because they have not given vitamin K, M, N, or O, P. Understand? So then you get the 5 takes. In Sinhala you call Shakara Sahaya. So therefore you have to add another one. Then now they say there is a role to play by fibers. But in our previous cultures, fiber had been considered. Then people start getting cancers. Now we got to know all this because of oxygen free radicals and the rest. So now we are going for antioxidants. So therefore the food element should add with antioxidants also. Is it enough? No. Now we are adding, these reps are coming and giving us prebiotics, probiotics. What are they? Various types of small microorganisms to be taken by as food, because our gut has lot of microorganisms. Some are good, some are bad. We want good people to be there, bad people to go out. So since we are eating lot of agrochemicals, good people can't live, only the bad people will survive, then we will have trouble, all this diarrhea, cancers, all these things. So we take probiotics, 80 rupees per capsule, and then you take probiotics also. If you eat yogurt, you get pro and prebiotics. I think Damayanti is there too, she is expert on this topic. I am a neurologist by profession. I am telling the principle behind that. If you eat curd, all these things are pre and probiotics. So now that has come. Now how many elements I added? So this is where, that is why the CDC website says you better eat fresh foods, fresh vegetables, natural food. That will ensure your healthy status. So whenever you are going to be away from your naturality, you are in trouble. Am I clear? Am I telling because of emotions, or I have to scientifically back you all? I will leave these slides behind you. So this is the definition to scientifically back. So that definition had to be revisited again. Now what was told by our father? He said, he is an intelligent person, or he is a prajnavante, I would say. So, he had analytical brain. He said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So what do you mean by that? Has he asked us to be medicine? But if you come to us, what will we do as doctors? We are giving medicines, or we do surgery. So we are glorified pharmacists in that case. We never talk to you about what to eat, what to drink. So as we don't know what to eat. Being a neurologist, got all this training. So where do we stand? But we are supposed to be the authority on food. So we pass it off to the nutritionist. But nutrition is only one aspect of food. I told you. So where do we have to stand? I am confusing you all. No? I will further confuse because now what has happened is, let food be thy medicine, medicine be thy food. Now what do you mean by that? Is he had very clearly said, he had never asked to give pharma. And when the pharmacy was trained to us in third year as medical student, they say all these pharmaceutical substances are toxins. We use toxins in whenever it is essential, not necessary but essential, in whatever the required safe doses. But now it has become the practice. But Hippocrates has never asked to give, so he said, let the food be thy medicine. So my linking up all these NCDs back to food, now do you agree with me? And can I stand by saying I'm a Western doctor? I stand by Hippocrates. But I am a council member of the medical council. We have modified the Hippocrates authentically. So the current people who have given the modified Hippocrates thought can get deviated because we have even cheated him. So this is where it is. Now he said, let food be thy medicine, medicine be thy food. So he gives both ways, prospective, retrospective, both for us to stand by that. So therefore, if it is the medicine, in our pharmacology topics, if you Google and see what Hippocrates said, what is his first principle on medicine? Not to do any harm. So, can you do harm through food? If you put all these three level of arguments together, chain of arguments, can you do harm? At least you can't do harm. If it is not a benefit doctor, that's okay. So therefore, now this is the spectrum of food what we are eating. So in this, in this end, you have the so-called healthy food. Now for us to, if you come to us, what will be the advocacy to you all from a doctor? Please eat healthy food. By that, what do you mean by that? There are unhealthy food as food. So if you go by the definition, can you have unhealthy food? Will it go under the definition of food then? But it has gone under the heading of food. So that comes to, actually they are not food, they are poisons. So that then we have to say, you eat food, not poison. If you say so, all these agrochemical guys will come here and shout at us and say, every agrochemical has a safe limit. So if you take a poison in small doses, we can assure that that is safe. So this is the current definition given by our educated people. So this is where we land. So therefore, this is the end of safe food. Now we have come to an era in all this technologically and otherwise developed world, we have now unsafe food or toxic food as well, or we can call it poison easily. Because we give those toxic material to kill herbicides or insecticides. So if you give something to kill, so how do they kill? That might then affect their enzyme system, or that might be a poison in some way, their gut, or they might get a cancer and die, they might have hypoglycemia and die. So some more other mechanism you might have developed in your lab to kill that animal. So when you take in a small doses, in all these safe limits, then you will not die, you will not straight away go to Barney Raymond's, but you will go through the hospital after suffering. So this is where it is. So food or hazardous substance. Now I going to stand by food. Now what is organized after this lecture, please visit that lecture and see whether we are going to eat food or poison, or whether we are confused. The best form to maintain is that confusion. So that is what this business field is doing. So whether it is a food or hazardous substance, or masquerading as food. Clear? So we advise only on healthy food. So we are safe now. We have given you advice to eat healthy food. If Arjuna turn back and ask from me, but can you write down a couple of healthy food to eat? What should I write? Nothing to write. Apart from I can ask you to eat course. So definitely that is, if you take the course in bulk, there is no way of injecting something. But if you have this thing, you can have all this course in super This all these sales may be with harpic. And vegetables, you know how they are. Foods, you know how it is being done. So who's responsible? Actually, we are responsible. But we say there is a safety net. We have only advised you on healthy food. So therefore, this has to be jointly fought with. So therefore, what is healthy food? If you fail to comply, it's not our fault. It's your fault. But if you eat hazardous food, you can list any disease. It's up to you. Right? Nutrition, overweight, diabetes, heart disease, whatever you can list anything. This is the current status in our health. Interesting. Can't carry it. Because the overweight in Colombo has gone up at this, children prone to diabetes, these are figures. And NCDs have accounted for about more than 2/3 of death in Sri Lanka. So what are the leading cause of death in Sri Lanka? NCDs. First leading cause, second leading. So they say first leading cause is cardiac and all this, second leading cause is cancer. They might interchange time to time, right? The leading causes are NCDs. But I have a nice video. What is the fourth leading cause of death? Or third and fourth leading cause of death? Is prescribed medicines. Do you want to see that video? In this, I will skip from this and show that video. This is not said by me, again evidence. This is the co-founder of the Cochrane Research Collaboration. You know the world best research collaboration is Cochrane Research Foundation. This cable will work, I hope, the sound cable. It will be only for 3 minutes video.
My name is Peter Gertje. I'm the director of the Nordic Cochrane Center in Copenhagen. I'm professor of research design and analysis at the University of Copenhagen. 2 years ago, I found out that prescription drugs are the third leading cause of death after heart disease and cancer. Our drugs kill around 200,000 people in America every year, and half of these people die while they do what their doctors told them. So they die because of the side effects. The other half die because of errors. And it's often the doctors that make the errors, because any drug may come with 20, 30, or 40 warnings, contraindications, precautions, and so on. No doctor in the world knows about all this. So they give patients drugs that they should not have given them, that interact dangerously with other drugs or food items and so on. And then the patients die. That's the other half. So the other thing I found out 2 years ago was that much of what the drug industry does fulfills the criteria of organized crime in US law. And they behave in many ways like the mafia does. They corrupt everyone they can corrupt. They have bought every type of person, even including ministers of health in some countries. There is a huge amount of corruption. In my country, for example, Denmark, we are regarded as having very little corruption. But yet we have thousands of doctors on industry payroll, although we are just 20,000 doctors. So this is an effective kind of corruption. The drug industry buys the professors first, then chief of department, then other chief physicians and so on. They don't buy junior doctors. So when several thousands are on industry payroll, it's really, really bad. And that's why I wrote my book, Deadly Medicines and Organized Crime, How Big Pharma Has Corrupted Healthcare. I hope to convince patients not to take so many drugs because...
I'll stop at that point. So you might have understood what I said, that I told what has happened to our food. Now where are we? We have now come to a bit of a difficult situation. Even the pharma is the third leading cause of death. So then where do we stand? Right. So We advise only on healthy food. Right. So, we have seen the figures. So food is the medicine, so food can be hazardous. I think you agree on that. So that is the very reason that this lecture was organized. Now you can see, if you want the evidence, very clearly there is enough evidence to see that the diet is the main factor in this, it's the main attribute of the NCD crisis in the worldwide. So therefore, if you are going to look after your non-communicable diseases, that you have to address the food issues. So therefore, how are we going to plan our future? Now this is where the current trends, I told you all these things, and simply what I have to say is the Western culture has described this, but they have failed to propose a solution. So this is the important thing that we need to, so I told you how relevant it is. Now just to appreciate, these are males. We never had, I told you that the previous slide you would agree that we are not supposed to be obese. Now this is how we look like now, but it was not the case earlier. So this fat, there are different types of fat they described in the science, and all this fat deposition has come up to this level, and this will take care of your life expectancy at the end of the day. If you have 1 centimeter beyond this, Damayanti will give you a calculation how many months we have to cut in your life expectancy. And you can see females have not escaped, and this is how our females those days had been, but now these people cannot be taken to one selfie, and they can, the quality of life, they can't get up also, you have to have assistance to get up, and when you get into a car also, you can see that fellow is running inside the car, and so this is absurd, and this is what happened to us. So therefore we have to find a solution, and these fat principles, ideally you can invite Damayanti to talk on the fat deposition on your body and what impacts on these various types of fat, and how life expectancy can be calculated if you have more and more fat in your body. And I am not an excuse, even I have a small now. I mean, so I think possibly because a lot of chemicals and hormones are being injected to the animals to get more and more fatty areas to be built up on the non-skeletal areas. So these are non-skeletal areas. The same when you eat all these chemicals in, we also get our fat deposition will get altered, and we get unacceptable shape or whatever because of that. So that's a different science altogether. So therefore, food can be used to abuse us. Yes. This is another topic I want to share with you all, because now I want to get the example from Haiti. That is why we wrote this book. Haiti, you know, in their soil, they have all this, it's a very precious land, you have this titanium. So the Americans wanted to take this soil away, this titanium fed soil. What they did was, they wanted to weaken the population there. So their life expectancies in those Haiti country was around 90s. What they did was, they introduced wheat flour in a big way, and they cut short all the taxes and made it almost free. Then they gave beer free to school children, also started. The school compulsion was released. School timing, starting time was brought it down to 9 o'clock like that, and the school uniform was withdrawn, and ultimately those compulsions were away, and the beer was made free, alcohol taxes were released, and ultimately they are given tabs, and the pornography was made free. Ultimately their life expectancy has come down to now 40s, and they are dying, and they are that has highest prevalence of HIV, and now they can easily take care of that land and take the titanium filled soil out of it. That is why, so I think similarly, when you read the literature, the food is being taken as a, I am not paranoid, this is the evidence, I am saying as an unweapon warfare. So therefore, it is time for us to, the health in all policies, that we have to work together to ensure, if we all are educated people, we have to save this land by ensuring proper so-called healthy food. We should avoid the unhealthy food altogether, and we should only ensure we have water to drink, but we are drinking something else. And we have enough food to eat in this land, but we are eating all processed foods. Why do we? And we justify that from various ways. And who justifies was told by Cochrane, co-founder, first the top hierarchy. Even we may be used by, the tobacco was initially promoted by doctors. You can see, you can Google and see, as a good element. Now we antagonize that. So therefore, you have to visit this food as warfare. These are material, you can use the keywords to Google search how it is being used as a non-weapon warfare. And if I were to touch a Sri Lankan material, this is the Brownrigg's diary. If you read that book, very clearly says, this had been our food culture. I request you to visit. Now, in our history, there are three eras. One is the before this invasion of the country, that was before the 16th century, where this country was ruled by 179 kings. Then the second era, where we were under, partly or fully, under three regimes of Western cultures. Then after that, which we entertained our own cultural leaders from 1948 onwards. So if you take these three sessions and see where we had the best living standards, you will see these are some material I am going to use. These are usually not used by our medical people when they are going to cite in their citations, but you can see what we have been eating. We have been eating, you can see, හැම ප්‍රදේශයක්ම ගොවිතැන් කොටසේ මුළු ප්‍රදේශයෙන් පළතුරු ගස් වලින් පිරී පවතී. This is what the CDC website says for you to eat and drink. And non-scientific උයන් නිබඳන මුළු වී වලින් මුළු රටම ස්වයංපෝෂිත කිරීමට හැකි වෙනවා. I will justify that statement later, how it comes and why we can't do it now. Now what happened is, then as a military strategy, what he had done was to සියලු වාරිමාරයක විනාශ කරලා ඒක පළතුරු ගස් කපා දමනවා. ඒක ඒකලා පයින් ගස් හිටවලා තියෙනවා කට. If you go to all this, we have to eliminate all these pine trees and build all these mango trees and all the fruit and jack trees and all this thing. That had been the culture those days. You can see මුළු පළාතම පාළු වියට අවුරුදු 10ක වැඩි සිංහල මිනිස්සු මරණයට පත් කර උයල් දෙපළාතෙම විශ්වාසගෙන. So this is you can see three single ඉඩම් මහිමි මේ පොත කවුරු හරි ළඟ තියෙනවා නම් please give me a copy to photocopies. Even the archives book had been taken out and burnt out. මේ පොත හොයනවා මම ඊයේ මෙයාටත් කිව්වා කවුද රාජසෝල දේවටත් මම කිව්වා හොයලා පුළුවන් නම් කොපි එකක් දෙන්න කියලා. මේකේ ඔක්කොම විස්තර ටික තියෙනවා. This book is in the Oxford Library in their hidden compartment. So Enna Govimalananda could Samuradhavi manage. He was tactful enough to get some pages of it and printed this book, and he also died prematurely. I don't know how. So anyway, when you see this had been a military strategy to inbuilt wrong food habits. And so therefore food can be hazardous, but then again, how can they promote food in this case? Unhealthy food? What is their strategy? Now, if they want to promote tobacco, will they come and say tobacco is not good? No, they will confuse you. They will carry certain material to confuse. So confusion is a strategy. So as this. Bale, Jave. So various words are used, but it is not the true meaning of the food. If you see the formula, nowadays, in the packet itself it says there is palm oil, katupolte, and we think it is milk. And they give, and when I challenge them, they said, we never said it is milk. But people have a perception that this is milk powder. They never claim that. In the packet, they never say it's milk powder. They say it's a formula. What do you mean by formula? They never said milk formula. We eat. And we say we can't give up that habit. I don't know. Up to you. You keep doing that. Because the confusion fits. So therefore, what I want to touch here is why I am doing this lecture to you all is very importantly, food is a culture. Do you agree with that? That's why I said your entertainment industry comes there. Food is a culture. So food, how can it be a culture? I can visit that, but time won't permit. Food production. is the so-called agriculture and agriculture-related culture. So cultural habit won't it differ according to whether it is agri-based or industrial-based, all these things. Has it got to be a culture? Then food processing, food preparation, food presentation, food consumption. So if you at least analyze, I can list down for other pieces, but at least for me to convince that this is a lot of elements, so here it goes up to the food production. You call agriculture. Agriculture is culture. In Sinhala it's Kushi Karme, it has become Karme, it's not, idea is Kushi Sanskriti. So if it is a culture, all the activities, so Yalananma Kundurata Vandala, මෛත්‍රියෙන් යුතුව තමයි ආහාර මේ ආහාරේ කන මිනිහෙකුට සෙතක් සැලසේ වා කියලා තමයි දැන් මොකද සත්තු ටිකට ගෙවම් මේවා ගෙවුවා හැම Tamanට ගන්න වෙනම එකක් හොයා ගන්න. හොඳටම දන්නා මේක කෑවොත් මැරෙනවා කියලා. So there is this principles of the basic principles of eating or the food has taken away from us. This is where it is. So food is a culture. And interestingly, somebody said food is a culture, yes, but if I say culture is food, now where do you stand? If you don't have these computers and other gadgets, the culture will be food. So therefore, you can see all the ministries are linked up here. That is why we say health in all policies. So culture is food. So you can't talk engineering without talking about this topic. So I will leave all these slides for you all. You can carry it wherever and analyze and criticize whatever you do. So health, education, whatever the arts, religion, will you have arts function without food? You go for all these places, watch a film and while eating healthy food. So we have to challenge this. Why can't we have a fruit juice and watch this film? So therefore, is it the food has made confusion or cultural confusion? Where do you stand? So then, who is the food authority? Cultural minister, not the health minister possibly. Then we can pass the buck to him and say now we are not responsible, he has done the wrong thing. So this is why. So therefore, currently the accountability of our health is in question. You can easily pass the buck to us. We can pass the buck to someone else. But we all are stakeholders of this dangerous principle where we can use it for betterment of our country. So therefore the accountability, are we accountable to our Father who said that, let food be thy medicine, let not do any harm. At least if you go back to your most basic principles, that we will be able to stand by. So therefore, now I will enter into the correct topic, now the solution. Now there are two topics which will be debated. There are traditional food. And there are, when I say non-traditional food, modern food culture. I am going by the culture. So traditional food culture and modern food culture. What has happened to us? From traditional food culture we have come up to, right. Now if we are scientific people, what should we do? We have to analyze what happens with this and what happens with this. And if this is good, we have to go to this. If this is good, we have to go to this. And if there is a mixture going to be the best, we entertain that. Am I clear? Right. Let's see what evidence are there. Now this is how our traditional food culture. People used to claim this is how it had been, very interesting. This is how the food processing took place. Nowadays, you don't have this kind of kitchen at home. You might have a gas table. You have never seen අපේ බබාට මම අඟුරු වලින් දක්ම දින්න කියලා. අඟුරු? you have never seen අඟුරු. ඒ ගෙදර නෑ. සරවන්ට මං කිව්වා එළිය පුච්චලා අඟුරු ටිකක් හදන්න කියලා. මොකද දැන් ඔස්ට්‍රේලියාවල දක්ම දිනවා චාකෝල්. මෙයා අඟුරු වලින් දක්ම දිනවනේ. අපි අරගෙන නැදලා දැන් ටක් සවුත් අඟුරු කරා. අඟුරු දැකලා. Then අර ගලේ අඹරපුවාම now if you are going to make a symbol, if you do it in the food processing is doing that, this ITI is next to you all. We have done a lot of analysis how the cells will break, how importantly that will get synergy into our healthy stuff. Whereas we chop, with the hat and we chop and we eat. We do all the insides to the food and eat. Understand? So that is what is happening, and for commercial purposes sometimes. So we don't see that this also. Galak ne. And Attammaගේ gym එක කියලා agriculture ministry used to put, but all this thing is good for female health. Now female health is another topic. President, Prime Minister, all are walking around this Independence Park every year to get better female health by kicking these things out. And then diabetic walk. When you go round and round and drink unhealthy food bottle, then we think that everything will settle. So this is actually පිස්සන් කොටුවට මොන ගහලා නෙවෙයි. ඇහැදුවා බලන්නේ මමත් දෙනවා වොක් වල. මගේ පොටොත් එක්කන පත්තරේ. මම යන්නේ බෑ ප්‍රෙසිඩන්ට් ડોක්ටර්ස් ලාගේ. දැන් ආ මිනිස්ට්‍රීම් මේ දවස්වල යන්නේ අර කැටින් හිටගන්න. But otherwise I have to go with them. So those are the cultural current habits of entertaining these things. For every stroke walk, diabetics walks, everything we have a walk. You get a t-shirt cap and walk and then keep back to square one. So this is what is happening. Now this kitchen, the spiritual aspect is I am not going to talk today. How the kitchen has evolved in our past. I request you to go into the spirituality of a kitchen. Now where is the kitchen in our places? We outsource the kitchen. You stop your vehicle and see all these fast food outlets. How many vehicles are parked with IESL event? So you outsource your kitchen. So that compound entirely is in the hands of someone else. So where is the mother's role now? So then what we have to do? We have to have a candle and go for events right. We said ගෙදර බුදුන් අම්මා. So mother was at a very high hierarchy. We bring it down, equal rights, and outsource the kitchen. When washing machine is doing the washing, so mother has no role. So then they say the kids are not respecting parents. There's a science behind the whole thing. But that is not being taught in the medical faculties, school education, wherever. This is what I want to come down to. So all these microorganisms have a role to play. It's a separate science. I'm not going to touch that. Right? When you put agrochemicals, entire all of these fellows will give all the types of vitamins which are known and unknown. They will make us healthy. You kill the fellows and try to eat. I could put that as a slide, have a nice slide, where the autism is 99% correlates with glyphosate. It's American Minnesota slide. So then Professor Sarath Gunathilaka, professor from San Francisco, came and gave a lecture at the Sri Lanka Medical Association auditorium. Then there are saviors of the agrochemicals got up and said, you said 99% correlation. Correlation doesn't mean causation. You find more evidence and come back. When you see the graph, the agrochemical usage, when you plot it, and then the autism prevalence, so almost 99% overlap. By Nancy Olivier, the publications are there, but they don't. So all because of these fellows. Plus, so they have a big role to play. We deny that fact. We think that we are educated people in all these science. Fortunately, unfortunately, we are at the top. Highest agrochemical user in the world. But here it's wrong. ASEAN Kalapi, this was a statement made by me. So then the WHO head asked me to come and meet. He had made a wrong statement. He had said that it's in the Asian region. He withdraw the statement and say, we are top of the world. So the correction is not fair because we are nowhere even with the second runner-up because other countries use about this amount. So we use about 28 times of the at least the so-called recommended agrochemical use, and we eat that stuff. Would that we have these figures, diabetics and cancers? We are actually better compared to what we utilize. And coming back to the food sciences, we categorize food into 6 groups, which you have to agree on, or these are consensus rich classifications. This is how 6 groups. So I am only going to touch only couple of groups because of the time doesn't permit me to go beyond. So the first group is cereals and yams. Cereals and yams. They have not put potatoes. What are cereals? We call it dhanya. Yams is alak. Rajala, gahala, mind, all this alak. That is number 1 category. We'll see. Now we have a habit of saying, if you eat all 3 meals rice, they are comfortable. We say it's a better family rather eating wheat flour. Right. What do you think about that? The thing is, modernization of the food. I told you from traditional varieties. So first of all, what we lost is the food diversity. If you read the Robert Knox book, can see even the king never ate all 3 meals. Or for that matter, 28 meals per week, rice. He ate kuratkan, amu, thala, meneri, kudarahal and yams. You might have your younger days experience. In the morning they have eaten a yam, not rice. So, Food and Agricultural Organization at one time gave a advocacy to make it all 3 meals rice. Then the rice scarcity came up. Then the justification for the second element. Now you want more rice. Earlier I showed you all, we have been exporting rice. Then Parakram Bahu was there. What was the population during King Parakram Bahu? 7.2 million. Today we have 2.2 million. According to the statistics by Census and Statistics, 1969 publication. 7.2 million. So he could feed 7.2 million those days and export rice. You can see the reason, because you are mathematical people. Figures are gone. So then you had a rice scarcity. Now what is the next justification? You better genetically modify and increase the quantity than the quality. If you get 80 bushels per acre, you genetically modify and make it 110. These are flowery slides they put by this Green Revolution people. Sometimes you can't, it's very difficult to confront them. Very flowery. This is from the Monsanto, America. You know what is Monsanto, you can Google and see. Monsanto is the body which try to promote agriculture as an industry or a commercial entity using the military strategy. Usually the ex-CIA chief is usually get appointed as the Monsanto chief. So they use military strategy. They don't care who dies. They go by numbers. So the quality was compromised and quantity. So we had a lot of, how many rice varieties had been there in the past? This is the publication by Science and Technology, Ministry of Science and Technology. There had been 3,300 rice varieties in this land. We were so rich for our diversity. Rice alone. I didn't go into the other cereals. And they have nicely analyzed 25 rice varieties and they have shown figures. This is available in our website. Shinal is kind enough to put it in all 3 languages because the single book is not now printed and my book also misplaced after that. So you can read that, and even if you want to download and see how beneficial for your diabetes, how beneficial for your cancer, all these rice. So we are publishing a book very soon on the value of traditional rice very soon. So therefore the genetic modification didn't make any good for us. Then now genetically modified, they are not natural. Can they live on this land? No. Then the next justification came up. They have to give 3 chemicals. You have to hit the herbs, you have to hit the insects, and you have to manure it. So then there's another industry came up. This is how. Now eat. And we are in the top of the world now. So for various reasons. Now what happened? Then we didn't stop at that point. We don't want to eat as it is. we start adulterating it. You never see a gulla in any of these food nowadays. You can keep. And not only this food, our cake when engineers know that cake කෑල්ලක් කෝබි දාන්න කෝබි කන්නේ. අපි නාසරි කියලා වීඩියෝ කරා ඒක. වෙබ් එකේ දාලා තියෙනවා. ඒක කෝබි කන්න අයිසිං එක කාලා උයනවා. මොකද මේ කේක් ගෙනිහින් මේ අවුරුද්දේ කේක් එක ලබන අවුරුද්දේ සර්ව් කරා. කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. ඒවා නිකන් ආටිෆිෂල්. අර ඇපල් එක පිටරටින් එන එක කාර් එකේ තියාගෙන ඉන්නකො ප්ලාස්ටික් දායි. මොන විදිහකටවත් සතෙක් කන්නෙත් නෑ නරක වෙන්නෙත් නෑ. එහාට රෝල් වෙනවා මෙහාට රෝල් වෙනවා කාර් එක. සර්විස් කරනකොට විතරයි ඇපල් එකේ එන්නේ. ඒක මොකද වෙන්නේ? because adequately adulterated. Plastic quality. Then food processing. I will stop at that. Because this is how we have insulted the food. You can go here up to this end. So therefore, what I want to tell you all is, this is what made us like this. People say globacity, isn't it? The globalization made us globacity. And since we are ambassadors of a system, we are supposed to defend all these Western cultures, and this is where we are. So how are we going to rectify this situation? What is the strategy? So I will try to propose two strategies as solutions. One is, we better follow the Western culture. So they have solutions for everything. That is our mindset. Even the Engineering Association, where I gave a lecture, all the slides were what Chinese are doing, what Europeans are doing. We never showed a video of what we have been doing in the past. Understand, that was my critical constructive criticism. You all took it very seriously. So as we, our community physicians, CCPs, CCP college, if I give this lecture, they will get really offended. Since I am the president, I can manage to stand there and come back. But if it is a junior fellow, that fellow will be attacked from left, right and right. So therefore, what I want to tell is, now let us see whether we can follow the Western culture. Let's see again evidence. Now these are the cancer prevalence. This is our figure, this is their figure. At least 3 times. So are we trying to, can we tell our kid, you better entertain a fellow who is 3 times worse than you? This is the USA Agriculture Ministry website. You see, there are micronutrient deficiencies. They are seeing other side where they can't face this side. Because you can see the iron deficiency in America is 39%. So there is scarcity of food. Is it that the reason? This is where the food culture issue comes. Culture comes. All because of that's why there is the hidden hunger. You can see the micronutrient deficiencies, how they have gone up. This fatty liver can be reversed if you give certain elements. We have been trying to do the research for last 2 years. We can't get ethical approval from Colombo. We tried, Radon we tried, Jadrul we tried. Nobody is giving ethical approval to treat. But we treated without ethical approval, and almost 62 out of 62 patients all recovered by giving a cereal called Anuruddha. Yeah, not Unuhal, toxicity. So, therefore, fatty liver can be reversed. So, we have our innovative technology. These, if you go to Mahavans, Chulavans and all these things, these diseases were not heard. I will show you last slide. The people who have gone to Africa and Asia at the very beginning from West had to add cancer, diabetes, these words to their vocabulary. They never existed. All these things are Western diseases. I am not anti-Western fellow, I am talking evidence. I got trained from Oxford, so I have to be grateful to them. What I am saying is, this should be the hub, lab, and to set an example to the West and to tell you better eat these things and become healthy. So you can visit American, their activities to overcome the NCDs. They have Vyayama, Dumpane, all that gone down, but the NCDs are going up and up. So now what is your opinion? Are we there to follow the European or the Western advice for this problem or solution? Can we convince our kids on that? It's difficult. So we want a long life, quality life, and no NCD. Quality, quantity both. Let us see what had been our life expectancy during King's era. Now this is again a Western literature. This most renowned encyclopedia. It claims that the Sri Lanka had a life expectancy of 140 during the King's era. So our current 74 is a drop, and without illnesses. So in 90 years, 100 years they were going to the paddy field. Today, none of you all are age of 90s, but unless somebody opens the door, you might find it difficult to get down from the car. So our quality quantity has gone. According to the same website, you can see the European figures. When we had 140, European figures were around these things. So this is what extrapolated by Paul Simont, because their food culture has not served them the required purpose. If you plot it on this, now what happened is, now this is what it had been in the past. During the era of Western origins, it had gone down from 140 down here, and then what happened is, after that it went up. So people who have only studied for last 200 years, they say because of the Western culture, our life expectancy from 35 has gone up to 74, and we acknowledge that they have been very helpful. Our health status has gone up, but it's a myth because they forget this part. So modern food culture has created these things. So what to do? What to do? Shall I stop at that point? I don't think that next presentation time permits. I will. So revisiting the food culture, very easy. Don't insult your food. So processing, no adulteration, organic agriculture to be given up. So there are three types of agriculture. You have the organic agriculture, you have the chemical agriculture, and the Helagovitana. Sustainable thing is the Helagovitana. For that, these Western people said, if the forest gardening, we were so eco-friendly. We didn't have monocultivations. So that you want to make it ati dekut nati. Natavat gahagane. We had 4-5 levels. Small protocol and all these things down the line. Then you have the Miris, Kastel, Eva, Kipyak, Ela Bakiwan. Then you have the this side trees. Then you have the higher up trees. Then you have the palm trees going up beyond this thing. So soil you need not to maneuver it. It automatically happens. It's the eco-friendly system. You just live there. So I have a nice video, 20 minutes, can't play here now. And on Gay Vienna, that was the concept in the past. In agriculture ministry, engineers, doctors, nobody analyzed these things. So therefore, but now we had to do. This is the food diversity we had been entertaining in the past. So therefore then we can reverse. Yams I told you, you can see these things at exhibitions, not otherwise. Even if you see, you will not eat. And this year is the best year of production of all these yams. People have grown up for 4-5 acres, nobody eats. So they will give up very soon, and they will cultivate unhealthy food very soon. So therefore, as intelligent and educated people, that we have to advocate on these things. Fruits and vegetables. Again, you just think about Karavila, how many types of Karavila you know. Highest food diversity in the world, according to Dr. Pabilis. I have never seen a vegetable inventory of this diversity. Batu, how many Batu types? Elabatu, how many Elabatu types? But still we try to genetically modify. Are we mad? Or made us mad or confused? Whatever the terminology. So this is where I belong. Fruits with the highest food diversity. People claim that this is පිම්බීම කියනවා because of the air track and this marine track. No, that may be one reason. The diversity and the values here are very high. And this, if you use this, anti-cancer property is very high. You can see, have you ever seen eaten dum? But if you see UK, all these berries, they don't call dum, they call berries, raw-berry, strawberry, blackberry, blueberry, all these berries are being grown because they know the anti-cancer property. Even if they are freely given, you don't eat. You might say they are dusty, don't eat. You might go for apple. So this is why, and if you see the apple, if you Google and say most dangerous foods in the world, apple comes number 1. You eat that. This is how we use our literacy. So the diversity, genetically modified, we have to have a campaign to overcome this. Sugar versus ketone. Sugar glycemic index is not forum to, you know what is glycemic index. It's slowly releasing how fast you release the sugar. About 80s. But if you have Panthil Rakina ketone, it's not adulterated, the glycemic index is around 50. But if you blend it up with Ceylon cinnamon, before Badruddin came into effect, now the Indian cinnamon is going as Ceylon cinnamon, right? Sadly, Ceylon cinnamon is mixed up with ketul, pure ketul. The glycemic index is 32. It was that is diabetic friendly. You see our all short eats in the past, all are kind of, they are not all are with very all with they are with sugary stuff, but that is not sugar, it's ketone. Understand, there had been a science. So therefore spices, our country went under these regimes simply because of the values, because this land was known to be spices. We disregard spices and we go for MSGs and all artificial stuff. So there is our educated brains are being used. So we are supposed to publish a book on the value of Kottamalli, value of all these spices, kurundu, different roles to play. Food processing, engineers can help how to keep a miris gal at home and use it and encourage them to use it and the benefits, ergometrics behind that. Then all these quality issues will go down. And I am not going to touch milk powder, another chemical we drink. Have you got leaflets behind it? Yeah. There will be a leaflet given to you. Please believe, this imported milk powder is not milk, nothing got to do with the cow. You want to drink a chemical, you drink. Added with various things. That's the story. And we lose 54 billion per annum to entertain this chemical. Unfortunately. Now, this foreign yogurts and all these things, you go for the place, you may be involved in the packaging sites and giving them. Recently, they came and met me. They are doing packaging, it's engineering work. Asked whether the milk is being dumped there. No milk, only packets come, various chemicals come and they put together and sell. So if you're really keen of drinking milk, you can see the rationale behind drinking milk in our leaflet. If you're really keen, please wear a cow and drink milk. Then you are sure that you are drinking milk. Right? This is, so water, drinking water had to be encouraged for kids. We have written in this book. So what evidence to promote traditional food culture? These are the last 2 slides. So where are evidence? Now this is, this book of course you have got a copy. Now this is the American nutrition guideline. You can buy online this book. You show me anywhere red or white meat, 100% vegetarian, not even eggs. It is not my book. I bought that book, right? I am not asking you to be vegetarian, up to you. But I am showing you evidence. So therefore what we started doing is we publish various books based on those things, but people don't follow. So what evidence to promote traditional food culture is, I request you to Google and see 2002 WHO report. That's the most expensively done research by WHO so far, WHO, and it's 345-page document. You read, they have analyzed the NCD prevalence in relation to the food. And what they could conclude was, the countries who got stick by the traditional food culture could combat the NCD crisis. Simply, they set example from Korea, the Samsung and all this development had taken place, but they never deviated from the traditional food culture. So their NCD prevalence is lower than the world. So this is the report, and so as the ESPN, this is the kind of headquarters of nutrition, they also claim, and interestingly they say, simply this kind of NCD crisis is because of the Western food culture. They lived in harmony with nature and based food choices, hygiene practices, medicine lives in nature. So basically they endorse in the articles. So therefore, we have enough evidence to stand by our traditional food culture, whereas we go for modern food culture, and we will not be able to sustain our kids in same health as we do today. They will be worse than us if we are going to maintain this things. And they also use the word Western culture. They don't say Western food culture. Culture is not good. So this is the WHO full report. So based on that, the WHO Director General issues this statement in 2002 on the same topic. So the strategies, you can see, we have to change our canteen policies, we have to use children as change agents. These are certain activities we have initiated by the GMOA. GMOA, we do our best because we are held up by a lot of other issues. Item and various other issues, so we have to spare time, and we are not full-time trade union people, we do our best. And unfortunately, there are more than 50 odd colleges and societies in the medical fraternity. We are the only organization, we are not dependent on pharma industry or milk powder industry. So we have limited funds, we only depend on our subscription by the members. So we have to satisfy the members whenever we do something, what benefit they will get. So therefore the canteen policy, we are going to start from the doctors' canteens. So we have to talk to that politics also when you are going to do something. But most of the colleges and all others are entertaining all these pharma industries, milk powder industries, which have been challenged in the medical council. Last Friday council meeting, it was taken seriously, and we are actually abusing our lessons we learned. And ideally, එකයි මම අර කිව්වේ ශාස්ත්‍රයේ දීමට පළමුව පරින් වැළකීමයි කුසල රැස් කිරීම උගන්වපු නැති එකේ වැරද්ද. So we have to. So traditional food culture. So as a model, now earlier this grandmother wouldn't have gone to school, but she knew what to eat, what to do when there is fever, to give kottamalli and all this stuff. Today the life has come to syllabus-based education with how to live is being minimized. So our school education had to be revisited. They don't know how to live. They don't know how to manage. ඒකද මම අර කියන්නේ අර සනුහරේ අභිමානය ගිලිහෙමින් පවතින. සනුහරක අභිමානය ගිලිහෙමින් පවතින. ඒකයි මම අර කියන්නේ අර සින්දුවේ ලස්සනට එක තියෙනවා. බණ්ඩාර හැලියට ලියපු මම කියන පත්තරය ෆුල් පේජ් ආටිකල්ස් දෙකක් ලියුවා. ඒක ඇප්‍රීෂিয়েට් කළා. බෞද්ධ නායකයෙක් පැය දෙකක් කතා කරා කියන්නේ. ඒකේ වටිනාකම අර මුතුන් මිත්තන් මේ කඳුළු දහඩිය පුදා මේ ටික රැක්කා. ළමයාට දෑවැද්ද අතට මුදුන්වත් මේ ටික දීලා අරපුවාම සස්ටේනබිලිටි දැන් අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. So we are syllabus driven education. So let food be thy medicine, not be thy poison. I will stop at that level. I have another 180 slides to go. If I go through, we will not be able to go home. I think I have adequately convinced you all that NCD is going up and the Western educated people are only describing that without struggling to give a solution. Whereas there are enough evidence to show that this is mainly because of food, and we have given less attention. And according to the published material and the WHO guidelines, very clearly guide us a solution. That is a traditional food guide. Then again, it is who we have to go to the past historical material which are already published and to explore that and to publish to see whether we had what had been our traditional living culture, and to publish book like this. Need not to be a doctor to publish these things. You can publish. But Buddhadasa Rajyavu had been doing all these books. What the value of jackfruit? You need not to be a doctor to publish all this stuff. So we have to keep doing that. How we lived those days. What did we drink? What did we eat? How utilize our day-to-day affairs. So then the engineering, medicine, all other fields, sociology had to get blended, and then we have to find a solution. So I think you can use these slides. I will leave these slides in your same computer, and those are copied to that. You can take the slides home, but please start mobilizing yourself, at least one guy, sharing this message. We are too late, we are behind the schedule. We don't want to. You come to my clinic and see how uncomfortable we are. Today one child came with a FB fasting blood. They came and said that there is some numbness. I did a fasting blood sugar, 120 diabetes. So, and there was another child who was epileptic, and she said, I started on valproate. Sir, my baba thoda busy කියනවා. මම වීඩියෝ එකක් තියෙනවා. First month I ignored that. මම කිව්වා business පොඩක් එන්න පුළුවන්. ආය આવොත් එන්න. ඊළඟ මාසෙත් ආවා. මොන රාගල්ද කොහෙද බබා? තාම කියනවා සර් කරගෙනවා ඉස්කෝලේ යන්න බෑ කියලා. I just asked to do a RBS. 590. Straight away put to Dr. Navodata Pattu, endocrinologist, started on insulin and controlled. But then I am a bit of a out of the box thinking, so I then promoted eating traditional rice. That mother stick by my principle, kept on giving traditional rice. Now the last 8 months, completely the RBS had been between 90 to 110 without insulin. So then I told this thing to our endocrinologist. She jumped at me initially. She said it's the honeymoon period. Initially you can have that kind of a phase. I said we'll wait and see. 8 months you can't have honeymoon period. So now she is convinced. Then I said why don't we give traditional rice at our endocrine clinics? So do you want your kid or your relative's kid to come to us and learn about traditional rice? They may be expensive because we don't eat that. But why don't we kind of encourage, or why don't we promote that more and more traditional rice? You can see evidence are enough there. You can read our website, and then fruits, vegetables, all these things. And mind you, if you take economic point of view, how much we spend for milk powder? 54 billion, right? Then wheat flour, another 54 billion. Wheat flour, what do you eat as wheat flour? If you analyze the wheat, you have your bran, germinal center, and this starchy stuff. We have signed agreement in 1976. You remove the brand and sell it differently. You come at Nestle malt and all these malts. Germination, you sell it for different purposes and you feed us with the Uranta Kandadana PTA. That is a diabetogenic substance. And on top of that, have you seen any bullas on the palm pit? We have put aloxan, various chemicals, then white pen the thawe එකක් දානවා. ඊට palm pit එකක් අදාරගෙන ගිහිල්ලා ඔතනින් කඩෙන් සති 6ක් තියන්න පුස් බැදේද කියලා. අපේ බබා ඉස්කෝලේ ගෙනියන්න තියලාවත් තුනේ නැහැ. දැන් දෙන්නෙම නැහැ පුස්. දැන් දෙන්නේ ඒකට දානවා අර. So where do we stand? So therefore we have the problem and the solution. It's a matter of we change our attitudes and we activate ourselves to work towards this. You can use this video, my video, I don't have copyright or anything, and you have to keep promoting these food cultures and start being example, and that will make country healthy and wealthy also, because the budget deficit equals to importation of food and agrochemicals. Sri Lankan budget deficit is 860 billion, 550 odd billions for the food importation, and 250 billion on agrochemical importation. If you stop that and go back to what had been there in the past, what we ate and drink, we can not only the health sector, we can look after the finance ministry as well, safety. Thank you very much. And I really appreciate Suran had been taken a lot of pains with his colleagues to organize this meeting, and I think he took more pain than me, and sorry for the delay, I got held up with some VIP movements here, just 5 minutes away, and that's why it was a little bit 10 minutes late to come. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. GMOA.lk. The other lecture is how to ඒක අතන විශාක ප්‍රින්සිපල් මට කිව්වේ මේ දුවෙක් හදාගන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා ලෙක්චර් එකක් කරන්න කියලා. මම ඉතින් අර දුවේ දුප්පගේ ප්‍රාණයේ සින්දු අරගෙන ඒකට ස්ලයිඩ්ස් 130ක ලෙක්චර් එකක් හදුවා. මාස 3ක් විතර අරගෙන. මෙයා ඒකට ඉමෝෂනල් ඒක ඉතින් ඔකට හොත් ඉතින් එවිඩන්ස් නැති හින්දා කියලා මම ඒක එවිඩන්ස් තියෙන එක කරේ. මිෂනල් ඒක if you want to listen to that lecture ඒක තමයි වෙබ්සයිට් එකේ තියෙනවා. I did then Anand principal also wanted to give a lecture on පුතෙක් හදාගන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා මම ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් මොඩිෆයි කරලා එතන කරා මේ මේ lecture එක තියෙනවා වෙබ් එකේ. ඒක බෞද්ධ නාලිකාවේ වීඩියෝ කරලා වෙබ් එකේ තමයි පැයකමාරක විතර lecture එක. ඒක අපේ වෙබ්සයිට් එකේ තියෙනවා. ඒක බලන්න පුළුවන් කට්ටිය. තව කට්ටියට ආසන්න පිළිපිටි ගැන අපි හදපු lectures සහ slide shows ඔක්කොම අපේ වෙබ්සයිට් එකේ තියෙනවා. You can share enough. පිළිපිටි ගැන 32 minutes වීඩියෝ එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒක පෙන්නුවොත් නම් අකවුරුත් පිළිපිටි ගන්න. ඒක පෙන්නන්න. මේක දින වීඩියෝස් ගොඩක් මිනිත්තු 5 ඒවා තියෙනවා 5 ඒවා ඕනේ නම් 10 15 20 30 පැය දෙකේ ඒවා තියෙනවා. Yes, sorry.
In the supermarket, we can see they are covered with so many foods and all this flour and all these, like what they are mentioning available on the supermarket, some of the supermarket. What is the idea about that?
That is why I said that now food, this agriculture comes under food production. That is the first limb I mentioned under the food culture. So if you go by food production, how can we produce food? Naturally food gets produced. So we claim that that is not enough. So therefore you bring this so-called agriculture principle. So there are 3 principles existing at the moment. One is this Helagovithana, which had been completely neglected by the Ministry of Agriculture. There is a department there that is not funded adequately. Even the government funding won't do. That actually we got promoted because of us actually. They love us. There are some professors who are working there. Then the next thing is the chemical agriculture, and the same ground Monsanto introduced this organic agriculture. The thing is, when you bring both principles together, you disseminate lot of agrochemicals down there. So what will happen? ඇග්‍රොකෙමිකල් ෆීල්ඩ්ස් වල තමයි හරක් ටික ඉන්නේ. හරකුන්ගේ පැටවු ටික ඇබෝට් වෙනවා. ඒක හරක් නේ තියෙනවා. ඒ කේරළ වල හරක් පැටියෙක් හොයාගන්න නැහැ. ඔක්කොම ඇබෝට් වෙනවා. එතකොට ගොම නැහැ. එතකොට ඕගනික් ඇග්‍රිකල්චර් එකේ කියන ගොමයි කොම්පෝස්ට් විදාන්න. එතකොට ඒක නැහැ. එතකොට ඕගනික් ඇග්‍රිකල්චර් එක මුගා කියලා. එතකොට ඔකට මතක ඇති ඉංග්ලන්ඩ් වල එහෙම ෆුඩ් ෂෙල්ෆ්ස් වල යට තියෙනවා බටු මොකීම බින්ජෝල්ස් හරි මොකද කියලා වෙන මොකක්ද කියන ආවිජින්ද මොකද සෝ ඒක තියෙනවා 710ට දෙනවා ඕගනික් එක තියෙනවා පවුන් 6ට 7ට. ඉතින් අර කොහොමද ගන්න අපි කොහොමදක් ගන්නේ අපි ඒ ගිහිල්ලා ගන්න ඉතුරු කරගෙන ඉන්නේ අරක ජරාවාරි අරක ගන්න. ඉතින් ඇග්‍රොකෙමිකල්. හැබැයි එතකොට නම් ඒක ඉන්ඩියන් way of promoting chemical. ඒක දුප්පත් මිනිස්සු ජරාව ගන්න පොසත් මිනිස්සු නේ. Now when you see the Buddhist living culture in the past, we never සියලු දෙනාටම මෛත්‍රිය කරන්නේ. ඒතකොට කුඹුරට යන ගොවියා ගොවි එකට ලොකුම තැන දුන්නෙත් ඒකනේ වැඩිම මෛත්‍රිය වැඩෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ කෑම නිෂ්පාදනය කරනකොට කුඹුරට වැඳලා සත්තු ටික බැරි හැකිද? උතුමරන්නේ. ඒතකොට උන්ටත් කුණු පාළුව දාලා උන්ගුත් එක්ක මේක. එතකොට එනවා ප්‍රොඩක්ෂන් එකක්. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අක්කරයට බුසාල 60 70 80 රයිස් වෙරයිටි ගන්න වෙනවා. ඒකේ සයන්ස් එකක් තිබ්බා. ඒක ඔච්චර සත්තු කන්නේ නැහැ. සත්තු කන එකට සයන්ස් එකකුත් තිබ්බා. කෙමිකල් කියනවා, කල්යල් බලලා වගා කරනවා කියනවා. ඒක අපි පොතේ ඉස්සරහට. අපි we got down 10 speakers on this scientific topics by natural and still there are farmers who does this. ඒක මේක මම I am not rocket science නෙමෙයි කියන්නේ. නේද? ඉනෝවේට් කරන්න දෙයක් නෙමෙයි කියන්නේ. තිබ්බනේ කියන්නේ. ඒකෝර ඒ ඇග්‍රිකල්චර් එකේ ඒකේ දැන් ජනවාරි වවන එක නෙමෙයි මේවා වඩන්නේ. ඒ විතරක් නෙමෙයි අපේ කෑම හදපු ඒ රයිස් වෙරයිටිස් තියෙනවා. ඒ රයිස් වෙරයිටිස් වල දැන් මේ ඒ හාල් මේක බැලුවත් මේ වෙනවා. මේකේ තියෙන කොම්පොසිට් එක. මේකේ රයිස් වෙරයිටිස් දැන් කළු හීනටි සුදු හීනටි ඒ එක එක හාල් දැන් ඒකේ මේ කවුන් හදන හාල් જાතිය නෙමෙයි කණ්ඩ ගන්න. ඒ වගේ නේ. ඒකේ සයන්ස් එකක් තිබිලා තියෙනවා. ඒකේ ෆයිබර් කන්ටෙන්ට් ප්‍රෝටීන්ස් 11 grams. ඉතින් ඒක වෙන්නේ ඒ දවස්වල වෙජිටේරියන්ස්ලා වුණාට අපි කට්ටියට ප්‍රෝටීන් කැලරි මැනිපියුලේෂන් එක මහා වංශයක් කිසි වංශයක ලියලා නැහැ. තිබ්බන සුද්ධ අනිවාර්යෙන් අපිට කියනවා රොබර්ට් මක්ස් කියනවා. ඒ වනේ ඊළඟ මයික්‍රෝ ඔර්ගනිසම්ස් ගන්නකො B12 දැන් අපි 3rd year වලදී ඉගෙන ගත්ත B12 තියෙන්නේ මේ ඇනිමල් ප්‍රොඩක්ට්ස් වල විතරයි කියලා. මේකේ ඇනලයිස් කරලා දාලා තියෙන හෙනසුනේ කියන්නේ ඒක. ඒක B12 තියෙනවා. මයික්‍රෝ ඔර්ගනිසම්ස් අර ආර්ථික මරන්න නැත්නම් මේ මයික්‍රෝ ඔර්ගනිසම්ස් ක්‍රෂ් වෙලා යනවා කෑමක. මේ ගට් බැක්ටීරියා වලින් ඉතින් ටික හදනවා. So nature එක අපිව ෆැසිලිටේට් කරනවා. ඉතින් මේ බේසික් ප්‍රින්සිපල්ස් ටික එකෙන් තමයි හෙලගොයි තැන තමයි බෙස්ට්. ඒක ඔයාලට හෙලගොයි තැන ඉතින් ගෙදර මොනවටියා වගා ගන්න පුළුවන් හැමතැනම වගා කරගන්න. ඒකනේ ඒක කල්චර් එකක් කියන්නේ. ඒකට කඩෙන්ම කනවනේ. ඒක. එතකොට I don't know whether I have answered the full question of you. How practical කියලා දැන්නේ organic.
Even like when we
that is the other thing. Then when we are now ඒක දැන් වෙනම topic එකක්. Then can we trust those things? Trustworthy world එකක නෙවෙයි අපි business world එකක. දැන් ඉස්සර පංචශීල ප්‍රතිපත්ති අපි රකින්නවා නම් ගොයියෝ ගෙදෙට්ට කන්න එකකුයි පිටට කන්න දෙකකුයි හදාගන්න එකක් නෑනේ. හරිද? එතකොට ඒ කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? trustworthy නෑ. ඊට මොකද කරන්නේ? legislation එකෙන් ගෙනවා accreditations, checking systems, lab facilities. දැන් මොකද වෙන්නේ? තව ෆුඩ් එකේ cost එක උඩ යනවා. ඊට ලාභයි වාට විද ගාපට දැන කන්නේ. ඉතින් දැන් ඔකට ඒකයි මම වල ඉන්ජිනියර්ස්ලාට කියන්නේ දැන් මේක විශේෂ සයිකල් එකක්. ඒ විශේෂ සයිකල් එක බ්‍රේක් කරන්න අපි කියන්නේ පරණ කුඹුරට වැදලා ඉන්න පන්තිල් ගාගෙන ගොවියෝ ටික හදාගන්න. ඒ කට්ටියට අපිට බෑක් කරන්න පුළුවන්. මම ඔකට එක මොඩල් එකක් එක සැරයක් ප්‍රොපෝස් කරා. හැම ගොවියෙකුටම අපි මෙහි ඉන්න ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් හරි ඉංජිනේර් කෙනෙක් හරි ලින්ක් කරනවා. අපිට හාල් ලවන්න බෑනේ මෙහි ඉඳගෙන මේ channel කර මෙහෙ ඉන්න අපි 100ක් හරි හොයනවා. ඒතකොට අපිට අර කැපකරු මහපොළොව මේ වාගේ අපි ආයෙත් යාළු වෙනවා. ඒතකොට අපි ගිහින් බලනවා කුඹුරේ ඇග්‍රොකෙමිකල්ස් ගහලාද කියලා. third source එකකින් බලනවා. ඒතකොට අපිට ෂුවර්නේ එහෙම කරලා ගොවියයි අපි ඒ වගේ මොකක් හරි මම කියන ඉනෝවේටිව් මොඩල් එකක් හදාගන්න ඒ ගොවියා දැන් ගොවියන්ට කරන කරදර. ඒතකොට මේ මිනිස්සුන්ට තේලන් කියන්න තැනක් තියෙනවා. there will be a so-called affluent society to defend it. ඒ වගේ මොඩල් එකක් මේකට ගේනවා. නැත්තම් එහෙන් ගොවියා දීලා third party එකක් කරා මෙහාට එනකොට අපි බයින හැම වෙලේම අතරමැදියා අයගෙන වතේ. අතරමැදියා හම්බ කරනවා ඒවා මේවා කියලා මේ ප්‍රශ්නය unresolved මේ ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එකක් දීදී ඉන්නවා. ඒකල්ලා ඇග්‍රිකල්චර් මිනිස්ටර් බලනවා, කොමර්ස් මිනිස්ටර් බලනවා. එහෙම නෙමෙයි. මේක මොකක් හරි why don't we innovate a model? We can get together and innovate a model. අපේ කුමර එහෙ. IT නැතුව එතකොට අපි ඒ ළමයා ඉස්කෝලේ යන වගේ සපත්තු දෙක අරගෙන මේක අපි ගිහින් අරන් දෙන්නේ හොඳයි නේද? අපිට පින් සිද්ධ වෙනවා. මේ වගේ මොකක් හරි මොඩල් එකක් ගේන්න ඉතින් ඔය නැත්නම් ඒතර මිඩල් අර ඇප්ලිකේෂන් පාර්ට් එක නැත්නම් සර්ටිෆයින් පාර්ට් එක තමයි මේ ගැප් කරගන්නේ.
මම අහන්නේ මොකද මම ඒවා ආරම්භ කරන්නේ වෙසල් කියන වෙසල් තාක්ෂේ වෙසල් සිස්ටම් එකේ ඇත්තටම ඒක මට තේරෙන දේ නම් වෙසල් සිස්ටම් එකට වෙසල් මේ මාර්ගදර්ශන කෝපරේෂන් වල අපි
වෙස්ටර්න් කියන වචනේ තමයි මේ ලිට්‍රලි යූස් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒක මගේ වචනේ නෙමෙයි. දැක්කනේ පබ්ලිකේෂන් සොෆ්ට් එකේ තියෙන වෙස්ටර්න් කල්චර් කියලා. මම ඒකට රිෆර් කරේ. So we have to go for the definition of western culture then. අර හෙළබොදුන් නාගේ තමයි. හෙළබොදුන් කියලා නැති බොදුන් විකුණනවා. දැන් හෙළබොදුන් had to be defined. First දැන් ගවර්න්මන්ට් එකෙන් කියන්නේ හෙළබොදුන් නම් හෙළබොදුන් නෑ. හෙළ නැති බොදුනුත් විකුණනවා හෙළබොදුන් එකයි. ඒතර මොකක්ද ස්ට්‍රැටජි එක? කන්ෆියුෂන් එක. ඒතර වෙස්ටර්න් කල්චර් කියලා මම හිතන්නේ ඒකත් මට මගේ රීඩ්අප්ස් වලට මේ දක්වා ආපු ෆීලිං එක තමයි අර දේශාටන අර people who invaded these countries, the culture they brought in was that is what in the Aspen publications. Possibly on top of that there is this modernization also. So western modernize may be a better word. They are also in trouble. They are also, that is why I showed. මෙහි යන්නකො මේ UK කැන්සර් රේට් එක බලන්නකො 27. ඉතින් මොකද කරන්නේ? කැන්සර් හම්බෙච්චාම මහලු මඩම ඒකේ හරි ලස්සනට මේ ළඟදී අපේ ඉන්නවනේ එහෙ නතර වෙලා ඉන්න මේ ડોක්ටර්ස්ලා ඒක වෙනම ලෙක්චර් එකක් හැබැයි කැන්සර් කියව ගමන්ම දේශ කොක්ටේල් දැන් අපේ බුද්ධ ආගමේ වන්නනේ 100ෙන් මැරෙන්නනේ ආහාර ගන්න 80ෙන් මැරෙන්න කැන්සර් කියලා දැනගත්ත ගමන්ම සයිකොලොජිකලි හොඳටම ඩවුන් වෙනවා ළමයි බලන් දෙන්නේ ඉඳලා හිටලා ද සෝෂල් එතකොට කොක්ටේල් එකක් තියෙනවා සෙඩටිව් එකකුයි පේන් කිලර් එකකුයි මැරෙනකන් ඒ ටික දෙනවා එයා මේ ඇත්තටම මේ පැලියටිව් කියා physician කෙනෙකු came from Scotland recently මේ ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එක පෙන්නපුවා ඇත්තනේ නම් අපි කරන්නේ කොක්ටේල් මෙඩිසින් එකක් නේ අරයට දෙනවා. I think that is the standard of care.
Ground plate and Kurakan plate.
Kurakan is good. I don't know what is this brown.
In the market. Ground plate.
Those are the very questions we are asked from the Consumer Affairs Authority. You better define that. So Kurakan is Kurakan, Tala is Tala, Kudara is Kudara. It is purely that. But there is a lot of misnomers used.
Then what about this, we say to rice and carbohydrates, so good for the research.
But I think most of the, not the research, if you go to maybe not scientific in the YouTube, lot of American engineers have given nice voice clips. Actually I met one fellow through Professor Hemanta Pereira. He got diabetics and he had gone to Western doctors. He got fed up of it. He had started studying what this is and he had gone back to cure his diabetes. How did he do that? By reversing back to the traditional diet. Now that is why I asked you to analyze the traditional diets. Now he actually contests. Nowadays the new trend is don't eat carbohydrates. You eat proteins and vegetables. Now my thing is, if you go by the nature, you might have learned in your mouth, what is the enzyme you have? Amylase. Is it the for carbohydrate or proteins? It's for carbohydrate. Why do we have carbohydrate digestibility from here up to downwards, whereas proteins only come to one place? If we are supposed not to eat carbohydrate. Now carbohydrate also again you can classify. there are resistance starch. If you eat coarse, the carbohydrate will not as it is. If you eat sugar, directly. If you eat this wheat flour, directly. So carbohydrate is a diverse field. So they in block say, don't eat carbohydrate. You can go down here. So what will happen? You eat proteins. Then you will not have diabetes, but you will have kidney trouble very soon because you have increased nitrogens coming in. The nitrogen is toxic to the kidney. So this Western science, again the Western world is coming, is you analyze only one element and see the fluctuation of that on the other side. But the traditional, that's why concluded by saying go back to the traditional food culture. You have to holistically look at it. And a food culture I told, beyond food. Then we had experience in the past. Go back to your CRTs. They could live happily until 80s, 90s without diabetes, hypertension, cancers, nothing. By eating, they never knew what is calorie level. They never had a link of packet calorie bala. So I think nature has served the purpose. So however much we have deviated, comfortably or uncomfortably from the, with or without reasons, from the nature, it had not helped us. So therefore, this eco-friendliness had to be meaningful. So I think most of the questions you ask, some of the questions you ask, I don't have a clear-cut one-shot answer. Because it's so confused in the game. So if you want one answer, go back to traditional food culture. Then again I have to give the definition of traditional food culture. Go back to previous literature, at least go back to 40 years back, because the agrochemicals were introduced in 1965. Genetic modification was brought in after 1965. Go back to naturally grown fruits, vegetables, cereals, yams, better than what it is.
I think that some type of yams have lot of people.
But grams?
Some yams.
Yeah, but those are now they analyze only the sugar part and tell that. But what we have to do is, now we have to see, that's why I told, sugar is only one element. We have the fiber content, antioxidant property. All these other parameters also should be blended. That is why if you keep, now what happened was, we have been eating yams in the past. The potatoes were introduced to us. Why don't you go to the history of potatoes? You Google and see history of potatoes. You know, the Western people did not eat potatoes. Potatoes initially was made for pigs. It had taken 200 years for them to convince human beings to eat potatoes. Today we not only eat potatoes, keeping all these yams out, we fry it, we put various other stuff, French fries. So then you can see how many steps we have gone to become unhealthy. So then again, that slide, from food it becomes a poison. So then when you eat poison, I need not to tell you what will happen.
You mentioned that the big food is concerned, getting big food is an artificial substance. So in that case, why does the government why is the government so silent on that rather than...
Government is not silent. They are pro-milk powder. See our minister? Because it's money. You see 54 billion. You just imagine how many kids are born per year? 330,000 kids are born per year. So if you some or other way make sure that you give one thing per week per one child, how many things? So per month how many things? Per year how many things? So if you keep a profit margin of 100 rupees from one thing, what will be? It like electronic cash. then what will happen? If I shout at me, they will ask, doctor, what do you want? If I say 8 million, they will drop 8 million. Every media institution where the highest revenue is through milk powder advertisements. So it had got blended up. So only way to break the vicious cycle is we can educate the public, keep educating. If you don't drink milk, that vicious cycle will break and they will not be able to fund it. We did it in the past. 2013 we had a massive campaign. The importation of milk powder prior to our campaign was 80,000 tons per annum. It brought it down to 3,000 tons per annum by our campaign. Then the milk powder industry got really upset. Again they capitalized. Now I was at that time I was the GMO president, plus I was the pediatric college secretary. So I convinced my college, pediatric is looking after kids, to have a press conference against the contamination of milk powder. Not against milk powder, contamination of milk powder, DCD contamination, which was proven by our labs, ITI labs. What happened? I was the college secretary, they got an 8 million check and kept mouth shut. College of Pediatrics, you can quote me on this. Even now, all these professional colleges get funded by these milk powder companies. You also can have up here. Daham Parcel, you see they are giving free. I went to this Colombo, most of the schools, their sports meets, well funded by. Recently I actually complained to the president. You know, there's a school in front of President House. It was like this. Some milk powder company starts with M. Land number. Even my child is playing athletics at national level. So, certificate education ministry. So, where do we stand? Where is the sound of the educated people? So this is so-called, what the common name to use is mafia. I don't know mafia or what fear. That is how it operated. So I think පවින් වැලකීමයි කුසල් රැස් කිරීමයි උගන්නපු ශාස්ත්‍රයේදී කට්ටිය ආපදාතර මේක හරියයි. දැන් ගවර්න්මන්ට් එක අර ලීෆ්ලට් එකක් අපිට ගන්න. WHO එක කියලා තියෙනවා ඒකට ඇඩ්වර්ටයිස්මන්ට් එකේ ලීෆ්ලට් එකේ තියෙනවා. ඒකේ තියෙනවා milk powder can cause all NCDs including cancer. So why don't you sue the minister? No, he had confronted. Now you know I have department inquiries because I have spoken against milk powder. It's absurd. So this is where it is. So and the time this got fired, this time milk powder issue, there was our DG, Director General of Health Service, and the Deputy Director of Public Health. There were those two. They are in New Zealand on a funded trip to buy tickets for minister's family whenever they want to go abroad. This is what is happening. So,
in that case, you want to talk about important powder. But I was also having the intention of I got some messages to
one note. This poster. This is we have published GMOA, but this poster was published by WHO. Who else? UNICEF, Ministry of Health, UNICEF, UNESCO. They say ප්‍රවේශාන් වෙන ඔබේ දරුවාගේ කිරිපිටි නිසා අන්තරායක ලෙඩ රෝග 21ක්. පිළිකා දියවැඩියා බඩවැල all the organs are involved. This is the government stand. ඉතිවත් තියෙනවා මේක. Right? But minister, DG, so-called nutritionist all stood for the home. Sometimes their kids may be educating in abroad. So this is where it is.
So if you don't mind, the organic make probably the supermarkets is very, very difficult.
So why not the engineers get hold of help these people who are doing it? That is also being discouraged. Obvious reason, this is all money, right? So, and then again, if you read this graph, you better first decide whether you want to drink milk or not. There are enough alternatives. Just to tell you one figure, if your intention of drinking milk is to cover up your proteins, milk has 3.2 grams, whereas Murunga has 27 grams. So you better buy 1 kilo of Murunga on your way back. It will not, then you can buy how many kilos? Murunga kilo එක පෙළ 80ක් විතර ඇති අරක ටීන් එකක් 800ක් 900ක් ඒ අනිවාර්යයෙන් දැන් අනිත් ඒවා දෙනවා ෂුවර් පීඩිෂුවර් පීඩියාෂුවර් අරෂුවර් මේ ඩයබටියාෂුවර් ටීන් අරගෙන බොන්න මේවා ෂුවර් නම් මේක හොඳ වෙන්නේ එකයි ඉතින් අහනවා කෝල් එක දුන්නාම ડોක්ටර් ප්‍රශ්නයක් එනවට කමක් නැද්ද ඩයබටියාෂුවර් මම හිතන්නේ ඩයබටියාෂුවර් කොච්චර කාලයක් බොනවද අවුරුදු 4ක් බොනවා හොඳ වෙනවා නේද හොඳ වෙනවා එහෙනම් හොඳ වෙන්නේ එකයි එකේ එතකොට ටින් එකකට කීයද 2700යි 3000යි ඒ වගේ. එතකොට ටින් එකක් කොච්චර කාලෙ සතියක් දෙකක් ටින් එක කොච්චරක බීලාද? ලක්ෂ 5ක 6ක ටින් බීලා. ඉතින් අර කම්පැනි එකට ෂෝක් නේ. අනේ කෙමිකල්ස් ටිකක් එකතු කරන්නේ. ඕකේ කිරි නෑනේ. කටුපොල් තෙල් වල දන්නවා මේ නිකන් ගස් හැදෙනවා. අනික කටුපොල් තෙල් බොන එක වල වෙනම ස්ටඩි කරන්නකො. අර මම දැකලා තියෙන මතුදුම දිහා කටුපොල් තෙල් ගස් තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් බල්ලන්ගේ මයිල් නෑනේ. ඒ ගෙඩි කාලා. චලතර විසා කැන්සරස් ඒජන්ට් ඉතින් පැකට් එකේ ගහලා දෙනවා කටුපොල් තෙරපි ඉතින් කනවා මොකක්ද මේ කරන්නේ මොලේ දෙන්නේ ප්‍රඥාව තමයි වඩනන්නේ
That must be simple question. One is you mentioned about giving activities and kids by giving native rice or some variety. One of those varieties are they okay even for adults?
Yes.
The second thing is, I think suddenly are not adults now. Because adults, native adults, they are not supposed to be in the particular amount. I think they are supposed to be healthy. From what I understood. They are getting quite, I think maybe because they are in the jungle, they have other accidents people have caused them to die. I mean, they are living in a household probably that could be there. So these kind of, they are supposed to be eating these kind of alarms and these kind. So whether it is ideally done by you, and thirdly, say, they have food patterns. What was the position of fish? Was there any sea fish consumed or any river fish consumed? And how was other fish being? We need to study on that. Could you advise how this fish is used?
I am a neurologist, not a nutritionist. So first of all, from a nutrition point of view, I am also layman. Simply, my concentration of the majority of the hours is on the nutrition, neurology care of children. So this is actually like my spare time I have been spending on this. So what I position here is the concept, and usually then the concept I little bit evolve rather than science දෙකක් තියෙනවානේ අර ප්‍රත්‍යක්ෂ ඥානෙ අනුමාන ඥානෙ. Now the living culture in the past was basically governed by රහතුන් වහන්සේලා කණ්ඩෝනේ දේ බොණ්ඩෝනේ දේ කියලා අපිට ඒ කල්චර් එකක් ගෙනත් දුන්නා. එතකොට ඒකෙන් අපි දැන් යන්නේ අනුමාන ඥානෙනේ. එක ෆීචර්ස් දෙකක මේ ෆ්ලක්චුේෂන් එක විතරයි ජජ් කරන්නේ. එතකොට අපිට වරදින්න තියෙන chances වැඩි. එතකොට now the other thing is you ask for scientific evidence. Now this IPI had the guts to study this. If I didn't have this book, I don't know what are the benefits, the so-called nutrition benefit of this rice. Luckily they have nicely published this, that cost about several millions of money, the lab services, ISO accreditation and all these things have to be there. What amount of protein, what amount of fiber and all these things. So if you only to scientifically analyze this, by that time you will die. Because you can see the fast trend of diabetes, cancers are growing up. What I am suggesting is, I gave you a simple advice, go back to your traditional diet, and while doing that you can do research. Like this now, what I told my colleague, endocrine colleague is, we will give traditional rice and observe whether the diabetic clinic can be cut short, numbers can be cut short, then that will be. But unfortunately we can't get ethical approval. This, they say, ළමයින්ට දෙන්නේ ඔය රයිස් මම කවේ රයිස් කියන්නේ හැමෝම කන දෙයක්. මේක ටොක්සික් ප්‍රොෆයිල් එක ගත්තද? ඒතකොට දැන් අපි මුලින් රිසර්ච් එක ඩිසයින් කරලා තිබ්බේ මගේ ජොබ් එකක් නෙමෙයි මේවා කරන මම ප්‍රොෆෙසර් පූජිතත් එක්ක රිසර්ච් එක දැම්මේ I am the principal investigator. දැන් මේ කඩේ තියෙන හාලුයි මේ හාලුයි. රිසර්ච් එක පළවෙනි රිසර්ච් එක ethical fail වෙන්න හේතුව අර රයිස් වල ටොක්සික්. ඒතකොට control එකයි බැරි. මොකද ඒක හැලුවා. හාලි වල traditional rice විතරක් දෙන්න එක. ඒකටත් තාම ethical නෙමෙයි. ඒක කොහොමද කරන්න කියලා අපිට හිතා ගන්න බැරි වෙනවා. But it is proven. දැන් මොකද patient ලා 4 දෙනාම දැන් diabetic free. ඉතින් මේක ඔයාලට කරන්න පුළුවන් දේ තමයි මේක අදාළව මේ පරණ මිනිස්සු කාපු දෙන්නේ. ඕකේ විඩියෝස් බලලා ඉන්නවා නම් ඉන්ටර්නෙට් එකේట్లా ඉඳලා ලෙඩ හදාගන්න. What we say is, if you eat fruits, vegetables which are naturally grown without agrochemical, without genetically modification, one thing for sure we can say that will be safe to eat. Then somebody might say, I am not making scientific statement. Then let it be my statement. Either you can believe or not. So you can have a hub of doing research and dig the past and bring this science up to this thing. රජවරු අර කට්ටිය මේකනේ මම අර සනුහරේ අභිමානයක් කිව්වේ. ආච්චි කියලා දෙනවා දුවට යන්න. දුව කියලා දෙනවා යාද දුවට ගන්නන්න. කෑම හදන ක්‍රමේ. ඒකදී ආච්චි කියන්නේ නැහැ පන්ති ගිහලා ඉන්න මම සයන්ටිෆිකලි හදලා පෙන්නන්නම් දීපුවාම හැදෙනවාද කියලා එහෙම කරේ. So there had been a science going down the line. We have completely dismantled that kind of education, brought it down to syllabus-based education, and we are now suffering because of it. I am not blaming anybody. This is the evolution, so-called evolution has taken place during the past 200, 300 years. Not only us, even the so-called Western people are now suffering. They have described, Paul Simon has described that. He has not, so go back to traditional rice was not his statement. It was a WHO statement. So he has not suggested a solution. Understand what I am saying? So, and then again his valid question. The opportunistics are growing and growing. Because of money they generate. Right? අර මම කියන්නේ සුනාමි වල මිනිස්සු අර මාළ ගලවගෙන ගියා කරාම ගලවගෙන ගියා කියලා බයිනවා නේද? ඒකනේ අපේ කට්ටියත් කරන්නේ. They thrive on the disaster. ඕන එකක් ගන්න. මේකේ තියෙනවා කියන්නේ ලිස්ට් එක. ඒවා ඇත්තටම මේවා ඒකේ වාඩින ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි අර අරහාපු ප්‍රශ්නේ. මේ හාල් ගණන්නේ ඒ පොඩ්ඩේ හදන්නේ 340 ද. මොකද කරන්නේ 340 ද කරවම දෙනකොට ගණන් ඉන්න අර මෙයා කිව්ව what he said will happen. for අර හාල් දෙක මික්ස් කරලා දෙනවා. මේ වාර ගෙදර ගෙනියන්න අරහාල් කියලා ආයෙත් ගිහින් ඩයබටික්ස් හදනවා. ඒතර මට බණි ගිහලා මේකේ කිව්වා කියන්නේ. ඒ නිසා ඒ දේශීය හාල් ඉවහම 24 hours තියාගන්න. That is the acid test. Fridge එකේ නොදා එළිය තිබ්බ හැකි වෙලා. උදේ හදපු කිරිමත් පහවද උදේ කෑයි. At least එදා රෑ කෑයි. නරක වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඕනහල් you can I will give you a website. මේකත් අපේ වෙබ්සයිට් එකේ තියෙන මේ හාල් ජාති බලන්න කළු වීනක මේ තියෙන්නේ. බටර් පොළල් බෙහෙත් තීනටි කළු වීනි දහන යන දික්වි ගොඩවි පත්තිකරුමාල් මේ but they have studied. මේ මේකට එහායවත් තියෙනවා කුරුළු කුඩ. මේක ඔයා මගෙන් අහන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. You go to your grandfather and ask. එක්නා අවුරුදු 60 දැන් මේක අවුරුදු 40කට කලින් නේ ඉන්නවා. දැන් somebody elder to you ask. going ඒකට දන්න සයන්ස් එක. අර අනුරාධපුරේ යන්නකෝ අනුරාධපුරේ ගියාම සයන්ස් එක තියෙන්නේ. ඒ කියනවා ડોක්ටර් මේකෙන් කිව්වොත් වග්ගොඩ රෝගේ හැදෙන දවස කියන්නේ. අර හිටියේ ගවන හිටියේ කවුද? කරුණාරත්න දියුණුවනේ. ලෙඩ්ඩු කියනවා. ડોක්ටර් මේ ගඟේ මේ 8 වෙනි මයිල් ස්පෝට් එකෙන් එහා තියෙන වතුර බිව්වොත් මෙච්චර කාලයක් ඇතුළත වතුර ඕනේ. ඊට මෙහා වතුර බිව්වොත් මෙච්චර 6 කණේ මෙහා බිව්වොත් ලෙඩේ. අපි ගත්තට මේ සයන්ස්. No science. Published it.
Okay, what is the effect of this arm body oil? It is creating all the
Yeah, my also interest. I have done this research, right? I am not neurology, so when I bring down a nutrition talk, palm oil. In my learning, there are 5 types of oils which can be classified as healthy. Number 1 oil is not now used. That is knee oil. This was told to me by Padeniya Haamduru. I studied that. If you Google and see, there will be enough document or published articles on the value of knee oil. නීතෙල් එකේ වටිනාකම කියලා නිම කරන්න බෑ. ඒ ගොඩක් දීහැකි මට ලිස්ට් කරගෙන ගියා. නීතෙල් කියනවා පොතක් තියෙනවා පිටු එක පිටු වැඩිලා ඉන්නේ. පිටු 300ක් කියලා දෙන මට ඒක පිටු 60කට විතර අඩු කරගන්න බැරුව ඉන්නේ. එච්චරකට වැලියුස් තියෙනවා ඒකේ. නීතෙල් හැම කුඹරකම මේ ගහක් තිබිලා තියෙනවා. සුද්ධ කරපු පළවෙනි දේ මේ ගහ කැපෙන එක රජතුමා මේ ගහ කැවීම රජතුමාගෙන් දඬුවම් ලැබෙකි වරදක්. මනු කලේ ගහලා තියෙනවා මේ ගහක් කැපුවා. මේ ගස් ලොකුවට හැදෙනවා. මේ ගස් කපන්න පුළුවන් එක පන්සල් හදන්න සහ රජමැදුර හදන්න විතරයි. එච්චරම ලොකුයි. මේ ගස් අවුරුදු 200 300. ඒ ඇට වලින් අර ගන්නවා මේ එක මේ ගහකින් අටුම ගානේ බෝතල් 12ක් අවුරුද්දකට ගන්න පුළුවන් ක්‍රෂ් කරලා. හැම ගෙදරකම මීතේල් හින්දින ගැජට් එකක් තිබිලා තියෙනවා. ඒ ටික නැති වුණා. ඒතර මීතේල් තමයි නම්බර් 1. මගේ ඔපිනියන් එක. not scientific එක. නම්බර් 2 පොල් තෙල්. පොල් තෙල් එකට මොකද කරේ? පාම් ඔයිල් එක මේකට ගේන්න ඕනේ හින්දා ඒකට කරන්න පුළුවන් ඔක්කොම කරන්න බෑ. ડોક્ટર අතුකෝරාල කාඩියොලොජිස්ට් විතරයි ඒක ඩිෆෙන්ඩ් කරේ. යාගේ පුතා ඉන්නවා දැන් රුමටොලොජිස්ට්. මම යාට කිව්වා ලෙක්චර් එකක් කරමු අපි. ඕනෑම ලෙක්චර් එකක් අතන මම ඕගනයිස් කරන්න කියලා he's getting ready for that lecture. The value of pole තෙල්. දෙක. ඊට පස්සේ තල තෙල්. එළදි තෙල් ගිතෙල්. ඔය පහ ගැන තමයි හොඳයි කියලා මම දන්නේ. palm oil cancerous කියන එක එකම ගහලා තියෙනවා. වතුර බෝතලේ වගේ තමයි. මේකේම දාලා තියෙනවා අවුවට අවුනොත් මේකේ not healthy කියලා. ඒක මොනවා? ඉතින් විදුරු බෝතල් මම අර මාස් හෝල්ඩින්ග්ස් වල ගිහින් දුන්න ලෙක්චර් එකෙන් පස්සේ ඒකට විදුරු බෝතල් ගන්න ගියා. ඉතින් ඔයාලා ගිහින් නෑ තමයි. අපේ GM එකේ ගිහිල්ලත් නෑ. කියලා හදන්නත් බෑ. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ තමයි. ඒක කට්ටියට පුළුවන් නම් අර එදා ඉංග්‍රීසි දෙන්නෙක් ෂොප් එකක් කරානේ. දැන් වෝටර් ෆිල්ටරින් දැන් වෝටර් වලට අපි කියේ පැන් කියලානේ. ඒතර වතුර පැන් වෙන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒක කියවන්න ස්ටඩි කරන්න. කුඹුක් ගහ කරමු. රිවර්ස් ඔස්මොසිස් එකනේ දැන් ඔයාලා ඉන්ජිනියර්ස්ලා ප්‍රොමෝට් කරගෙන යන්නේ. රිවර්ස් ඔස්මොසිස් එකේ මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඩිස්ටිල් වෝටර්නේ බොන්නේ. ඩිස්ටිල් වෝටර් බොන්න පුළුවන්ද? බොන්න බෑ. ඒක ඊට බීජත් නැහැ මිනරල්ස් උත් නැහැ. එන මිනරල් වෙනම ඇඩ් කරන්නේ. යා again bring another plant costly. ඒතර කුඹුක් ගහ මොකද කරේ? මොකද කරේ? වතුර. ඒක අපිට සයන්ස් එක තිබිලා තියෙනවා. වක්කඩේ ළඟ කුඹුක් ගහ. ඒකද මේක මේ ගහ කුඹුක් ගහ. ඉතින් ඒකයි මම කියන්නේ. අපි පොඩි alliance එකක් හදාගෙන මේක මම නම් අතාරින්නේ මේ කතා ටික කල්චර් කරන්න ඕනේ. මේක වැඩේ තියෙන්නේ කොයි වෙලාවෙද කරන්නේ? සතිය දවස් 7ම employed. අමාරුයි. ඔයාලත් ඉතින් මේකේ you also can take part in it. palm oil හොඳද නැහැ. palm oil කියන්නේ කටු පොල් තෙල්. කටු පොල් තෙල් බල්ලන්ටවත් දෙන්න එපා. දුන්නත් මයිල් හැන්නේ. අපි හැලෙන්න මයිල් නැතුව ඇති. ඒක නිසා ඉන්න. ඉතින් මේ ඊට පස්සේ ඔක්කොම නේද? බබාලගේ අර ඉන්ෆන්ට් ෆෝමියුලා එකේ දැන් ඕක දැන් කිව්වා මට අනුරාධපුර බ්‍රාන්ච් එකට කතා කරලා. සර් කියන එක ඇත්ත නිසා අපේ බබාගේ පැකට් එක මම බැලුවා ඒකෙත් තියෙන පාම් ඔයිල් කිරි කියලා දීලා තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් this how දවස් 30 Facebook එකේ ගිහින් ඉන්නවා කන දේ බොන දේ ගැනවත් හිතන්නේ.
But all this, olive oil,
ඔලිව් ඔයිල් ගැන මම දන්නේ ඒක. මේ මීතෙල් නම් no expiry date. මීතෙල් වල expiry date එකක් නැහැ. කොච්චර වැද්දත් කැන්සරස් හැදෙන්නේ නැහැ. හන්දියක් ප්‍රතිචාර ගන්න හොඳම තෙල මීතෙල්. තව කියන්නකො ඒකේ ලියගේ පල්ලෙහාට benefits. ඉතින් ලියන්නකො පොත් ටික. කුසලයක් අත්තුන. අපේ ඇග්‍රිකල්චර් මිනිස්ට්‍රි එකට අපරාධේ බජට් එකක් තියෙන්නේ. ඇග්‍රිකල්චර් සෙක්‍රටරි නම් මම විනාශම කරා මේකෙදි. මොකද දොරමඩලාවා මම කාර්යය කරන්නේ. මම ඔච්චරයි දන්නේ. මිනිහා PhD නේ මේ රොකපෙලෝ නේද? රොකපෙලෝ PhD නේ. ડોක්ටරේට් එක ගහගෙන ඉඳගත්තා. මම දොරමඩලාවේ කිව්වා මිනිහා පළවෙනි දවසේ කන්ෆර්ම් කරා, දෙවෙනි දවසේ කන්ෆර්ම් කරා, තුන්වෙනි දවසේ මට මම දුන්නා. I totally agree with Dr. Padeniya and I have mistakenly gone behind the green revolution. I will withdraw all my statements and I will give 50 million rupees to promote the traditional food culture කියලා නැගිටලා ගියා. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි අර තමයි සරෝජ ජයසිංහ ලියලා තිබ්බේ අර nephro මොකද්ද kidney disease එක you introduced me saying that I am uncommon kidney disease of unknown origin. all scientists ලා unknown origin එකක් topic එකක්. දන්නේ නැති වම්වල රෝගී ඒක නොලියා ඉන්නේ. දැන් hypertension උත් එහෙම නොකඩ මගෙන් අහුවොත් what is the commonest hypertension? Essential hypertension. What do you mean by essential hypertension? course එක දන්නේ නැහැ. මේක තමයි තනියම දාගෙන ඉන්නවා. ඊට පස්සේ මගෙන් අහුවොත් epilepsy හැදෙන්නේ කොහොමද? 70-80% අයෝට I don't know. මම එහෙම ඉන්නවද නේද? idiopathic කියන. diabetes හැදෙන හැටි දන්නේ නැහැ. මේ සීනි අල්ලගෙන ඒකට එල්ලනවා. මෙටබොලික්ස් කියන අනිත් විචල්ය ඉතින් මේක මෙහෙමයි ඉතින් සයන්ටිෆික්ම කිය ඉඳලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ මොකද මේක ඊට හැරින් කතා කරනවා. Thank you. As the 14th and last lecture of the 2018 and 2019 session, we are very much proud to have Dr. Anuruddha Padeniya as our lecturer, and today we had a very much brainstorming and awakening session, which is a very important topic in the today's society has been undergoing, that today's food is actually as per his and as per our knowledge it is poison. So he has given in-depth knowledge and in-depth experience that he has gained from research as well as his knowledge, how we can overcome this issue, and because our child is an investment for the future, as he said. So I would like to thank Dr. Anuruddha Padeniya for being here, sacrificing his valuable time, and also I would like to thank our enthusiast audience, those who have come, although there was some weather conditions. So this is the last lecture. We are very much proud to say that as Delhi Service Engineers Sectional Committee, we have gone through 14 continuous lectures, and we are very much happy that the audience has been supported us by attending here. And so to conclude the session, I would like to invite Dr. Anuruddha Padeniya. Please be on stage to hand over the token of appreciation. For that, I would like to invite past president of IESL, Mr. B.R.O. Fernando, Engineer B.R.O. Fernando. Please come on stage to hand over the token of appreciation.
Thank you, Engineer Fernando. So, again, I would like to thank IESL for giving the opportunity to having this lecture, as well as the staff, technical staff of IESL. Again, in another session, 2019-2020 session, we are going to organize this kind of valuable lectures, public lectures for all of you. So we hope that your valuable participation will be there as well. So to conclude the session, I would like to wish you all a very good night and have a safe journey on your way home. Thank you.